Jordo.
What's up?
Thanks for joining me, man. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk about your story. You have a very interesting story. I just want to introduce my beautiful girlfriend is here with us as well. She might interject and say hello.
Hey, guys.
We're friends. So I've heard your story before, parts of it, probably not the whole thing, right? And I think that the more that I learn, the more that I'm like, man, there's a lot of layers to what you've been through and where you're to today. Mm-hmm. You're somebody who, in my opinion, is one of the best artists I've ever met. I'm not just saying that because you're my friend, but I think your work speaks for itself. You've had six-figure contracts. You're renowned, I would say, in a lot of ways. But what most people probably don't know is that, your upbringing wasn't typical. Like, you faced periods of incarceration. You were in a gang at one point. You had family members that struggled with substance use. And still here you are today. You're not only a very, incredible artist. You're a husband. You're a father. You're a bodybuilder. And you're a mentor to youth. You have a lot going on. So I think a lot of people would be interested to hear, okay, how does one go from where they were in this tumultuous childhood lifestyle to kind of getting out, turning their life around, and being as successful as you are today. So I just want to take it back, man. Where did you grow up originally?
I grew up in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. And growing up in Saskatoon, I bounced around a lot of different neighborhoods. Again, part of that was that substance abuse that my mother experienced. And that happened at the age of 10. And I experienced a lot of different, culture and systems, being different sides of the city. Growing up in Saskatoon, I grew up mostly on the West End, is where most of the violence and such came from. However, it also became harder for me to feel like I could identify with anybody when I moved to the east side of Saskatoon when I was living with my father for a little while.
I was about to ask, so did your mother's substance use start when you were 10, or did it happen prior, but you just kind of weren't really privy to it? And where was your father during all of this as well?
Actually, the substance abuse from my mom did start way before I was ever born.
Okay.
However, she had it under control for about 10 years, and that was while I was
functioning.
10. Yeah. She had started using again behind my dad's back, which led to my dad cheating on her and then leaving. And that subsequently was hidden from me, and I didn't know that there was substance abuse happening.
What was her substance of choice?
So my mom was addicted to intravenous use cocaine, so she would be shooting up.
Yeah, my mom was same thing, dude.
Yeah, and alcohol. Rough. It started with the alcohol being the obvious part, was where she started hanging out with some people that just seemed odd and different characters that, for 10 years I had never met these types of people, and then all of a sudden they're around every day, and it's like, my mom's like, this is your auntie, and it's like,
it's like,
well, okay, well, that's weird, but that's where we started getting reintroduced to it about that age.
Okay, cool. So up until, like you said, you were 10, you lived with your father and your mother. They were together until the substance abuse kind of got out of control, and then he was like, I can't deal with this, cheated on her, like you said, and then he moved out. Did he stay in Saskatoon?
He did live in Saskatoon, yeah. So he moved
did.
to the East End with his girlfriend, Violet.
Shout out Violet.
Well, actually, she passed away, so she
rest in peace, Violet.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he moved in with Violet, and that's where they resided for the next 8 years until they moved to Prince Albert. I moved in there on and off at times. Basically, my mom, she was having a fit. She kicked me out, go live with my dad for a weekend or whatever, or 2 weeks, and then go back to my mom's, back and forth kind of thing. I did live with my dad, though, for about a year and a half, the longest stint. And that was good for me. It was kind of my first introduction to meeting some friends that weren't gang members and affiliated. However, I still had a crisis of identity going into high school at that time. I'm on the east side, which is the preppy area of Saskatoon.
Okay.
And I was in more of a preppy school. So it was very hard for me to be fit in. I'm coming in wearing basketball jerseys and stuff like that, and
Right.
skate shoes, and all these kids play AAA hockey and stuff. So it's like,
Yeah, you're the black sheep.
yeah, I don't fit in with them, right? So
That's
it's a
interesting.
little bit difficult to find my way in that sense, but yeah, I try to fit in where I fit in. And
Yeah. So when you were staying with your mom, how did the substance use show up in the caretaking? Like, what did that look like? Because, for example, I know for me, it wasn't possible, and I wasn't able to live with my mother because it was like that bad. But was she like functioning, but just not really paying attention? Was there neglect? What was going on? How did that?
It was exactly that. It was she's like high functioning addict where she was in a role with the correctionals. So my mom actually worked for the women's CTR in Saskatoon, and she was
CTR, what's that?
Correctional training residence. So it's like a halfway house for women.
Oh, okay. That's
and
ironic.
yeah, so it was a pretty interesting turn of events because my mom was an inspirational speaker for the Elizabeth Fry Society.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she used to.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah, she was a pretty high figure, and she had done a couple TV interviews and stuff. Speaking for the Elizabeth Fry Society and like women against abuse and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because for 10 years she had changed her path, right? But as she slowly got into, what happened is she actually made a friend at that CTR, and she started bringing in or allowing her to bring into some drugs behind the scenes. And then they started kind of giving her a little bit extra money, like paying her off and stuff like that. Okay. And then it kind of came down to that they knew each other from Pine Grove previously.
What's Pine Grove?
Pine Grove is the women's correctional in Prince Albert.
So they knew each other from that place?
They knew each other prior. Yeah.
Did your mom go to that?
Yeah, my mom spent a few years in there. That's actually where my mother and my father met, was in
prison. Well, every hero's journey starts with a princess in jail.
Yeah, no, so that's how the person that reintroduced my mom back into the scene, I guess, infiltrated her focus, and my mom just kind of started using quietly, I think starting at work, and then it just slowly crept into our life where my dad found out, he left.
Okay.
Then it became a regular thing at the bars, and, just started seeing it kind of snowball. But in terms of the court system, they looked at it as my mom's still the suitor because she had made the majority of money, right? And she was that spokesperson, and she had appeared to be history, like all together.
Okay.
And all her friends are going to, of course, take her side on things. And my dad didn't have any way to advocate for himself. It didn't look good because he was the adulterer there, right? And it makes him look worse. And plus, my dad's a very much a recluse kind of person, so he keeps to himself, and decided he didn't want to have a fight. And
easier if you just acquiesced.
Yeah, so.
Interesting. That's what a turn of events. So what did your mother go to spend time in? What was she in the correctional facility for?
Her crimes ranged from a lot of different things. So my mom was in and out of facilities ever since she was like 12, 13 years old as well. And for her, it was a lot of fleeing from sexual assault as a youth. My mom being Indigenous to growing up in a small area in British Columbia called New Denver. Back in the 60s, 70s, that was like, if you were a young Indigenous woman, you were just, a piece of meat, really. You weren't treated with the type of respect that even women get now. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of like differences in laws and rights, as I found out. But my mom was abused by like school teachers and family friends and stuff like that. Her own father, unfortunately. And there was a lot of traumas that she faced that she tried to run away from. And so like, I think at 13, 14, she ran away out to Vancouver. She was even a prostitute for quite a bit of time in her life. She was married at a young age to a guy named Bernie, and she had 3 kids with him, all before she was like 16, right? Jeez. So she was definitely roughing it pretty hard, didn't really know where to go in life. She lost those kids to child welfare and whatnot. And she experienced a lot of those hardships then, and it was different for her to escape that, I guess. But sorry, I kind of lost the train of thought.
I'm just trying to paint the picture of I guess, yeah, your parents and
Right.
your mom, you said she used
She's
substances. Sounds like
Yeah,
she was trying to cope in a lot of ways with all that stuff that
yeah.
you just mentioned. I mean, that's heavy, dude, for any young child. As we know, I mean, we work with youth. They're so vulnerable, so impressionable.
100%.
And to go through anything like that, like, I can only imagine how that would just destroy you psychologically. And
Yeah, and it's no wonder, like, for me, realizing the types of trauma that my mom's been through, this is something that I've only come to learn in the last few years.
sure.
Because my mom's been burying that trauma for so many years that,
Yeah.
it never made sense to me too. Why were you incarcerated? I didn't understand what types of things you did. I understood a little bit of her past from my oldest sister, but otherwise I had no idea, right? And I think I've mentioned this to you as a personal story about what happened to my oldest sister, Teresa. Being that my mom was so afraid to be Indigenous, she had whitewashed herself, like really just tried to be culturally accepted by anybody else, even to the point where she tried to like lie and say she's like Italian, which is totally untrue. Doesn't even look Italian, right? It's kind of hard to paint that picture when you're brown.
Yeah.
But she had tried to identify outside her own culture because she was afraid of more abuse. And I understand that now, but back then I had no idea like what culture I even was,
Right.
Growing up, I had a lot of uncles that were, like, I had uncles that were black, I had uncles that were native, I had uncles that were this, that, or aunties and stuff that were different races. And I'm like, I don't understand how I could have family in Bosnia or like from, these islands and stuff. I'm like, how does that work?
Yeah.
But I just accepted it because I'm a youth and I don't know
like,
much,
okay,
right?
yeah.
So
Thanksgiving looks like the UN or something.
yeah. And my mom spent a lot of time in Pine Grove and other correctional facilities as a minor and as an adult. And the last thing I know that she spent time in was just for an armed robbery. As far as I remember, she was high. She robbed the local convenience store in Flin Flon and ended up getting like 3 years maybe or 4 years.
Oh, wow.
And so she had actually met my dad. And in that last sentence that she got in like 1989 to 1993 is when I think she got out in 92 for good behavior or something. And my dad just happened to be doing like a 6-year sentence at that time.
So how did they meet in the jail though? Was it like a...
So yeah, obviously if you haven't been to jail, you wouldn't know, but you're transported in the back of a van for court. From what I know, they're called the Provo vans. And so you'd be transported, shackled and handcuffed in the vans. A lot of times there would be females on the other side of the van. So they'd be like segregated in the back. So there's like one spot where they come in through the side doors. The other spot is for like the males in the back of the cage, but we could see through and we could like talk to the next people. And that's where they met, was in the back of the van. My dad was headed to the penitentiary in Prince Albert, which is called the PA Max. And she was going to Pine Grove, and they're like not right beside each other, but they're the same city, and they're not very far from each other.
They're flirting.
Yeah, so
like,
they were
damn,
flirting,
this
and
girl.
they became pen pals. My dad's sentence was broken up with a sentence at Riverbend, which was like basically a halfway house for men too. So it's like if you're on good behavior in the penitentiary, the PA Max is a super maximum facility. So if you're in good behavior there in your sentence, you actually get reduced down to a medium security, which is the Riverbend.
Okay.
And you can go and do like RLs and work in the community. What he had told me was that he would be, picking up garbage in the ditches and stuff like that, or they would like go to the dump and whatnot, pick up garbage in the alleys. That was their regular job, right? So,
interesting. What did your dad do?
Armed robbery as well, but
match made in heaven.
Yeah. My dad really thought he was Jesse James, and actually, that's something he just kind of informed me about recently. That his whole goal was to be Jesse James, and that's actually what he called himself because his name is James.
Okay, so who's Jesse? I should know this. Do you know who Jesse James is?
Jesse James was considered the like Wild West robber, the bank robber, and very notorious for robbing banks. So my dad would be on his Harley. He would come into town, with a shotgun in his bag, and stick up a place and take the
like
money.
a bank.
Yeah, he'd do banks all the time. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and he had told me a couple of stories where he had gotten away with about $40,000, and
he would do this solo.
Oh yeah, he was just a solo guy.
What a gangster.
He was not into like street gangs, but he was like
he didn't
into
need
being
one.
Exactly.
He was Rambo.
He was pretty hardcore. And my dad also faced a lot of different trauma in his life too that he's never really opened up about, and I still don't know everything, but I have a little bit of a picture, which makes sense to why he would do those types of things. And his upbringing was pretty violent. Like he would be beaten often from my grandfather. My grandfather, coming from Germany, just had a total different outlook on life coming to Canada at that time, especially because he got here through right after World War I. And he had met my grandmother shortly after that, and there was a pretty large age gap between the two. But he was quite a violent person, and he used to
pass that down.
Yeah, and fortunately for me, I never got the same sort of like beatings that
good.
he got. But I did face a lot of different traumas with my dad and violence too. Like, I mean, I've been slapped around by him for sure. But
I feel like that generation as well. I mean, I think it's not as common now. Obviously, there's stories. People are still facing abuse, physical abuse. But certainly a generation ago, a couple generations ago, that was standard practice where, you're getting the belt, you're getting the wooden spoon, you're getting a smack on the hand. There was no... I don't know if it was well known that actually like that physical abuse creates long-lasting trauma, which results in certain behaviors that are passed down, which are disruptive, which create negative life, like all this research that's coming out now. So, okay, wow. So he was robbing banks, and then he got caught. I guess.
Yeah. He was always in and out of prison, and I think the last sentence he got there was his longest. I believe he said it was 6 years or 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
And that was the time that he had met my mom. So he told me that the last one that he robbed was a place in Revelstoke, BC, and he just like rolled up to the bank. He was, like you said, he was getting away with it, but he was being stupid with the cash, and he was like spending it. Just like he bought what was it? I think he said it was a Gran Torino or something like that, and he's like, it was like $8,000, and he was like,
just
no
balling.
problem. And he was like excited about it. He was like flashing it off, and then his mom's like, where the fuck did you get this car? So like things like that started like, where are you getting this money
from?
People
asking questions.
Yeah, and then it was just like, boom, James, that guy, right? And so they ended up finding him, and he got caught pretty quick. I think it was like 5-6 days, he said.
Oh, really?
But he was already spending that on like quads and stuff like that, enjoying his life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was the foolish part of it, but thank God that he got caught, right? Otherwise I wouldn't exist.
Yeah, I guess so. He obviously wanted some clout from it. If he wanted, like, at least I'm Jesse James, I'm a bank robber, I kind of want to be known.
He wanted to be known for sure. He wanted to be in the paper, and he like loved that clout for sure.
Oh, interesting.
I have a little question. How old were your parents when all of this was happening? Like,
it varies. So like they're 3 years apart. My dad was born in 1960, my mom in 63. And my dad would have been, well, I was born in 93. So, I mean, that's 30 years right there. So he was probably like mid-20s doing this stuff. I know it had started for him robbing the banks and stuff like that at like 18, he said. So, which is kind of you would think that you would be doing that maybe as a minor, so reduced sentences or something. But he would steal a lot of cars as a youth too, so that was what he was known for.
Interesting.
He's a prolific thief, I would say. Yeah.
And then your mom was, she was the same age, like around mid-20s, early 20s.
Well, her trauma started so much earlier, and prostitution and stuff started way young, at like 15, 16. And then it was pretty bad for her. So all her crimes were primarily petty crimes, little thefts and stuff like that. But she was involved with her first husband being a hang-around with Hell's Angels.
Okay.
So she was very much involved in that scene.
That lifestyle.
Yeah, so a lot of biker stuff like that. So you could see why my father had that appeal to her, because he was that gangster.
She liked the bad
independent.
boys.
Yeah.
100%.
So, but yeah, that's where they were. And yeah, my dad would have been 30, I think, when he was getting released. So yeah.
Okay, so they had you when they were, because I guess they got out of jail, they met up, then they had you. In comes Jordan.
Yeah, actually, so when they met, my dad was, like I said, in that medium facility.
Yeah.
Or well, he was in the PA pen at that time, and they met, and they were pen pals for years. So they had talked since like 1990, I believe, is when they said. My mom already got out on her sentence, and she was already released, and she had gone back to her old ways, right, trying to make money. And my mom told me this story recently, actually, when she was last here, and she explained that my dad was in Riverbend, then he got into a little fight, got sent back to the pen, and he was like, well, I guess he's penning her. He was writing her letters to her, asking her for a new TV. And he wanted the video game system, which I believe was like a Super Nintendo at the time.
Classic.
Yeah, he just wanted to pass some time in the pen,
100%.
right? Because now he's not in the medium facility. And then he was writing her to ask her for this, and my mom wanted to provide and give him a gift. But being that she only knew how to be like a prostitute and steal and whatnot, and she was trying to get her life back on track, she had like basically prostituted herself out to this person, Ken, and ended up getting pregnant with my sister, Carrie, and lied to my dad about that pregnancy and said that it was his because he was able to visit during the medium security. Yeah.
Visits, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Well, because it was medium security, so like
Right.
they could be face to face at times,
Okay,
and there was
interesting.
opportunity. I didn't want to hear more details from my parents,
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah.
but
Jordan,
there's-
sit down. We got a story to tell you.
Yeah.
So your mother is a...
Yeah. So, yeah, my mom ended up pregnant with this man, Ken, and he was a Chinese man. And you could see that, like, having a Chinese Indian child is very difficult to navigate because, like, her eyes are different than mine. So my dad knew that she had lied, but accepted my sister and took care of her eventually, like as the family started, but always held that resentment and know that she lied
that must
about
have been
it. Right?
hurtful, man.
For sure. And that was like where the hurt started with my dad. And then it was for him, as long as she could remain off the drugs, then he would stay a part of the family. And eventually when that started breaking open again and my mom started using, he was like, I have no reason to be here. I've been lied to right from the get-go, right? So
Right. That resentment, I guess, just kept building, and then he said, I had enough.
Yep.
Damn. Okay. All right. So, yeah, we'll fast forward a little bit. You're now, a teenager, a preteen, and you're getting bounced around from home to home. Your mother's experiencing a little bit of substance use. Your dad is kind of like doing his own thing with his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then, where does it, like, because I know you get incarcerated, but what is it for, and at what age are you, and like how does that come about? Because I could see how, like, you get to a place where delinquency might be theoretically likely.
Yeah.
But how does it actually get there?
Yeah, I mean, since we have more time to kind of dive in a little further, I would say like the first incarceration or run-in with the law started at about 9 or 10. I think it was
9 or
grade
10?
5. Yeah.
What are you doing?
Well, I mean, one, I used to steal a lot too, right? But the first real incident happened, I believe it was grade 5, and I had a crush on this girl, and her name was Erica. And I really liked her so much that I was like almost like obsessed about her.
Stalker.
Yeah. And so I had a lot of anger issues as a youth, and I was prescribed like medication at a young age. This was a drug called anitriptyline. Okay. And it was a I don't know. It's supposed to be like an antipsychotic drug, but I mean, like I wasn't having psychotic affairs.
Mood stabilizer or something?
Something like that. Yeah.
Okay.
So these types of mood swings I had as a youth started after getting jumped when I was like 5. So it was kind of like a birthday party. I ended up playing, what's that called? Wiffle ball bat or whatever, like where you have like a little spot where the ball sits on top.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember what the game's
I don't
called.
know. I've never played it.
Yeah, so we were playing like that.
Yeah.
However, the stupid thing kept falling over, so we started just like tossing the ball and hitting it in the yard. And this was at a birthday party, so I was at this one friend's house that I kind of just snuck out there to go without being allowed to leave. But it's this small town called Asquith, so this was outside of Saskatoon. It was just like 30 minutes away. I went. I was like, I can go, whatever. And then I went. We're playing. It's going all well, but the parents there were pretty negligent. They weren't paying attention. So when I went to go hit the ball and like my turn, I missed. And then there was a young child there who had autism or something. He had a bat, and he ended up fucking just start swinging on me because he wanted to like play. And he just started like hitting me in the head with it a bunch and didn't stop. And I don't remember a whole lot from the situation other than like coming to, walking down the train tracks to my house, which was like the path to my home. And I just remember crying and being so fucking dazed and like my head bleeding.
A concussion.
I did.
So a kid with autism just.
I had a severe traumatic head injury, so that I had like I was in and out of consciousness the whole way to the hospital.
Holy.
And from that attack, I ended up with a lot of different like massive outbursts, like where like my anger would just go from here to like 100 instantly, and I would be like uncontrollable. Lots of times where there would be like little incidents where I wouldn't be able to contain myself, and one of those times was later in grade 5 where I was so jealous of this other guy, Chris, that I like actually wanted to attack him. And it was a weird event where I just ended up like thinking that if I borrowed Erica's scissors and like carved into my arm her initial with her scissors.
Maybe you were psychotic.
Yeah, I was. It's to a degree. It seemed like it. And I did this, and it was like to me, like, oh, you know, like,
I'll show you how much I love you.
How much I love you. Yes.
I love you so much.
100%. It was very much an emo time. Right?
Holy moly.
Brandon, you better step up your game.
Clearly I need to take some notes.
Yeah,
here.
man. I mean, you used to have the hair and everything.
I did have the hair. I had the bandana hanging out the back pocket.
Yeah. So
never sliced myself up.
I figured I could go for like the real chemical romance. You know what I mean? Like the blood in, blood out type thing.
100%.
So that happened, and then I realized like, why am I cutting myself? I'm like, I could just fucking cut this kid, right? And like, yeah. So I actually like went after him out of rage, and
with
then
scissors.
Yeah,
safety scissors.
Her scissors too. No, it was back in early 2000s, so it's like
get the real deal.
The
got shears,
ones, right? They're shears, yeah. So it was like, okay, I'm just losing my mind here, and this is during my parents' divorce and everything. So there's a lot of things obviously stacking up in my mind without me realizing what's happening.
100%.
And those drugs too. I stopped using them in grade 5 because I was upset with the weight I was gaining. I used to be a skinny kid, and then I started gaining a lot of weight and becoming overweight, and I thought it was affecting the way she would perceive me.
Damn, and she really had a grip on you, man.
Yeah, it really did. Yeah, and so being that like lover boy mindset that I thought that I could, if I can't have her, then like he can't have her type thing. It was pretty bad. But
that is bad.
We had a school lockdown. I remember getting like arrested and everything. Jeez. And it was also really embarrassing for me to realize that I had just snapped, right? And
she got the ick for sure.
Actually she didn't, but
she loved that.
Oh, actually, it's a weird.
Like,
it's a very long story
hot.
With her.
He killed Chris with scissors,
he tried.
And he carved my name in his arm. He's so sexy.
I know. So yeah. Anyways, that was like the first time I ended up in the getting arrested and then taken into the university hospital.
Picturing you, chasing this guy around with like a huge set of tits because you said you were fat. Anyways.
Yeah. So.
Go ahead.
And then I ended up there, and after that incident, I was definitely like labeled with spaz and shit like that.
Of course. Yeah. Did they allow you to go back to that school?
Yeah.
Because that seems like one of those
It was a pretty big deal.
moments,
I
like,
had to be
expelled?
re-medicated, and like it had to be like a plan to like. I remember it being a
Safety
big
plan.
deal
Yeah,
because
no,
my
of
parents had just
course.
divorced, right? And my dad had to come into the school and like vouch that I would take my medication.
Okay.
I remember that whole deal because it was just a weird time for me, and I didn't know what was going on really. But yeah, they allowed me back in that school for another year or so before we moved away, and yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so that was the first run-in with the law, really.
Yeah, that was probably the first time
Then-
because I was afraid I was going to jail, and I didn't know
Yeah.
that 10 you can't. So I was in the hospital, and I was just in a baby doll for like hours, sitting in there just crying, thinking like I'm going to jail. Like, you know, I didn't think this would happen, and I didn't know where I was. I was just in a cold room with a straitjacket on, right? So I'm like, what the fuck?
Jesus.
Yeah, and that was the first time, and then.
Well, we gotta pause there because
Yeah.
I want to know what happened when you went back, and Erica, like what happened with her? I need to know.
You know what? I can't remember too much of the details there. But
She's dead.
No, she was fine, but yeah, I think it just was like an overly jealous assumption. Like she wasn't even into this
No,
guy
of course,
Chris
she's in grade
whatsoever.
5.
Yeah, I know, but it turns out she wasn't even like attracted to this guy.
You just
I knew
made
that
this
he
man-
had
yeah,
liked
yeah,
her.
yeah. You
He was like
created
fairly a new person to that school, so just like a new jealousy because she had talked to him. She thought he was funny, but anyways, I just found that
Anyways.
stuff out later in life, of course, you know.
This, of course. So when you went back to the school, things were fine. Then yeah, you were about to say then like the second time.
Yeah, so once we moved away from that area, so we were living in like the Alphabets in Saskatoon at that time. We went to a school called WP Bate, and then when we moved from WP Bate to Fairhaven, it was a different transition for me there.
That was the prep year school.
No,
that was high school,
Fairhaven's
sorry.
still a West End
Oh,
school.
okay.
It was actually a school I went to even younger. So like I said, I moved around a lot.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand how much trauma that could cause as a youth too,
for
like
sure.
bouncing around.
Absolutely.
My parents were fairly low income. However, like they had enough. It's just that my mom had gambling addictions and other substance use that was slowly creeping up, and my dad has no filter on how to use money. So, you know, I can understand. They were both in prison most of their life, and then they're starting a family. It's like, where are they going to build good habits, right? So they didn't really have any good habits, and we definitely bounced around to whatever's cheapest or available at the time. So when I moved back to Fairhaven, I had started getting involved with more of the gang kids, just because a lot of youth at that time, like Fairhaven and the Alphabets, which is what we call like the hood in Saskatoon,
Okay.
they're not far apart. They're divided by like a tunnel that goes under Circle Drive, and then that's Fairhaven over here. And then on the other side is the Alphabets, and the Alphabets go up 22nd Street, 20th Street, and right into the dead center, Pleasant Hill, where the hood is in Saskatoon. And the Alphabets start from like Z up to A, going towards downtown. Like downtown is like A, and then forward.
Okay.
So anywhere you're in a letter on the street is what we call the Alphabets, and that's like all like Avenue V to like that area is like the epicenter of the hood, especially anything on the south end of that. So that's where I kind of grew up, was between those areas. My oldest sister Teresa, who I would visit often because my mom would use her as a babysitter. We were in and out of Avenue V because my sister mostly lived on Avenue V growing up. That's what she could afford as a single mother and with her children. So we'd visit and babysit and stuff often. And we're just the younger siblings that happen to be old enough to babysit, you know, like 10-year-olds babysit the fucking 6-7-year-olds, you know. So it's like
That's common practice.
yeah, that was pretty normal back in the day, but not anymore, right? Yeah, and then I moved to Fairhaven, and that's where I got into the gangs and stuff. A lot of the youth around there were trying to establish themselves against the kids from the Alphabets, because the tunnels were like a main area of trauma. Like anytime we would go to visit family or walk through those tunnels, I'd get jumped every fucking time, and I hated it. I used to run through those tunnels, and they were long, unfortunately. So like you're coming down a hill and you can't see who's in there, and there's like spots where people can hide, and they would just wait there, and you know, there'd be like junkies or whoever. There'd be full grown adults too, robbing kids, you know, and like.
Was there no other? You had to go through
That's
this
the
tunnel.
only entrance, yeah.
You couldn't get to the other part where
you'd
you
have to get a
going
ride
through this.
for sure. Yeah.
Oh, you get a ride,
yeah.
and you.
Oh man, I used to hop the fences and run across Circle Drive when I could until they built walls so that people couldn't run across.
Wow, you think that?
Yeah.
This would be flagged by the municipality and there'd be some sort of like creative solution. Like transit wasn't available to you or something?
No. And like I said, it was pretty close. They were close to each other. Like you could walk easily to Fairhaven. And like, that's the thing. Even when I lived in Fairhaven, I'd still have to come through the alphabet to go to my sister's house. So all the time, you know, as a young kid, you're already thinking protection. Like I need to carry a knife or some sort of weapon.
Right.
You know, you didn't want to get robbed and stuff. I mean, I remember getting a Valley Village Adidas black and white Adidas jacket from Valley Village. Yeah, it was the nice puffer ones.
Yeah.
And I remember my mom telling me like, you know, don't let anyone steal it, you know. And then I'm like even more like afraid because I'm like, great,
now I have a target.
Like, yeah, this is a target for me because it's bigger. I'm a chubby kid. Like I fit probably what the teenagers fit. And I'm like, damn, I don't want to lose this jacket. And it's like every time it was winter, I'm like fucking running through these tunnels. I'm like, I don't want to get robbed.
With your scissors, you're like, come at me.
So you kind of learn to like seek protection, and all the other youth too from Fairhaven would know about the tunnels. So it was like a point of like almost a challenge for the youth to be like, I'm brave enough to go through the tunnels, even though in my mind I'm like, fuck man, I hate going through the tunnels. Like I'm getting robbed all the time. And so this was actually the area that I had started tagging my name in because one, crime happened there all the time. Two, I had this feeling that with tagging as a youth, I could re-identify myself and like look a little harder. It wasn't gang graffiti, but it was my graffiti. And when people saw me do that graffiti, even though I knew that they would otherwise rob me, I remember this one time I walked through the alley and I was tagging the tunnel, and I wrote my I wrote my name and my birthday, Jordan, 9/11.
Yeah, you were born on 9/11
Yeah.
too. Like, that's like
so a traumatic few years, 2001.
the worst time to be born, probably.
Yeah, and then I remember writing my name in the tunnel there, and these kids on bikes came by, and I thought, oh, they're gonna try to jump me for sure, right? And they saw me tag, and they're like, "Did you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, dope. And then they just let me be, and I was like, holy shit, this is my ticket. This is how I'm gonna get around to not getting caught. Or like, you know,
you got respect.
Yeah,
that way.
Exactly. And so it was like a new addiction immediately, right?
You're getting reinforced.
Yeah,
right
and
away.
I mean, I had already done it just around my house for fun because I just was like, I enjoyed the feeling of spray paint, and then I had noticed graffiti around. But, you know, I just started writing my name, and then I started doing it in the tunnels and started kind of like going a little further. And then when I was in Fairhaven, I started writing it on the back of the 7-Eleven. And it was in this time where I was starting to get introduced to these kids that were wanting to be harder, and they wanted to look cool and tough and go through the tunnels. And, you know, they were starting to jump people and stuff like that too, right? So now I was kind of hanging out with the guys that were like doing the robbing instead of getting robbed.
Okay.
And I was feeling somewhat protected by my new identity with graffiti. And then at the age of 12, I got arrested doing graffiti on the back of the 7-Eleven in Fairhaven because I didn't know there was cameras back there. And I was just taking my sweet time. I'm like, hey, it's just like the tunnels. I could just make my thing. And I had just come up with a new word, and was pretty excited to go tag it around. And
you also put your name and your birth date on these
previously
things,
this
which is
one.
not a great. If you're gonna do illegal graffiti, probably don't give them your social insurance number, your mother's maiden name,
your address,
So
and I realized that too, that you needed to have an alias, and so I started going by an alias, and that's what I was putting up at that time.
What was your alias?
Dice.
Yeah. Where'd that come from?
So our friend Tate, he got some flaming dice on the back of his on his back at 13. So he got a tattoo.
A tattoo?
Yeah.
Was it a tramp stamp?
It was it was on the shoulders. It was fairly big. It was like, you know,
flaming dice.
Yeah, I just had dice with some flames on top of it.
13 years old. Who the fuck would tattoo a 13-year-old?
I know, right?
That's
but
crazy.
we didn't believe it at first. We're like, oh, it's like one of those ones that you get from like the fair and shit like that. And then it was like,
tattoos.
no, it was really there. And we're like,
wow,
no way. And then he's like, yeah, man, I want you to do like a drawing for me, because at the time I was known to draw some Dragon Ball Z or whatever, right?
Okay,
so my buddy's like, man, you should do like a graffiti, like how you write your name, but like do something for me. And I'm like, what do I write? I don't even know what to write. And I'm like, well, it's a picture of dice. So, and I just started writing the word dice. It was also because there was a graffiti crew called No Dice Crew. And it was more of just like a slang, like, you know, there's like no dice, no chance you're catching me. And like that was the slang. But as a youth, I didn't understand the slang. So when I seen no dice, I thought it was a challenge. Like there's no dice. And I'm like, oh, like I'm dice. Like I'm the guy. Like, fuck you.
Okay.
And so I started writing dice as like almost a challenge to them. And just because it was available to write for my friend Tate.
Right.
But that's where I started with a new alias, and I had really just honed in after playing video games like Mark Echo's Getting Up and Tony Hawk Underground.
Love that game.
It just really like exposed me to a new culture.
I was going to say the culture.
Yeah. So then
skateboarding was huge back then. That whole culture was exploding around, I think, the time that we were growing up, preteen, stuff like that, for sure.
Bam Margera, Young Nigel
Yeah,
Houston,
CKY, all these, like early Jackass days. Yeah, that was a huge cultural explosion.
Yeah. My favorite shoes of all time, the Osiris D3 2001s.
Wow.
The most popular skate shoe ever made.
I can't even picture. I'll have to get a picture and throw them up on the screen.
Yeah. You'll see me wearing them in the summer.
You still got a
I
pair?
have pairs, yeah.
Wow, so they're legit.
Oh, yeah, they were the coolest thing, right?
I had a Osiris, I remember them because they had a big fat tongue on them.
That's them.
That's them?
That's those ones, yeah.
Okay, so I had a similar pair, if not the same pair at some point. I'll have to look it up.
Yeah, so
they're comfy, I remember that.
Yeah, exactly. That was the whole identity. They sucked for skateboarding, man. They fucking blew apart easily. But they were cool, you know.
Okay. So we're tagging up to 7-Eleven. Dice.
Yeah, I ended up getting arrested with my friend Adekali, and we were both meant to be released that night. Like the officers were letting us go, but my mom's substance abuse had started pretty heavily at that time. She was out at the bar and she wasn't home.
Oh, wow.
So Adekali got dropped off. We lived in the same apartment complex, and I was like, how come he gets to get let go, right? And like, now I'm stuck, right? And I don't know what the fuck to do. And, you know, we were young, first time being arrested by police for doing something criminal. And we owned up to it. We just were like, yeah, we were tagging the back of the 7-Eleven, like got hands full of spray paint. Yeah. It's kind of hard to lie.
Got us.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, you guys are being unreasonable. We'll let you go. Brought us home, which was like a few blocks away. But my mom wasn't available. And so I ended up having to spend the night in Kilburn Hall. And it was scary for me. It was for sure scary. And I remember the first time I went into Kilburn Hall, going to the courthouse in the morning to get released, I met with my sister's associates or like acquaintances. And my sister is very popular, very pretty young woman, very popular in school. Everyone knew her and wanted to be her friend and stuff. And she had just recently did an assault in the downtown mall. Okay. And it was like a big deal. This was before cameras really even worked good. I remember seeing the video. It was just like horrible.
Taken on a calculator.
Yeah, it was just pixels. And then you can see my sister like slamming the girl's head on the ground. And she ended up getting time in Kilburn Hall for a night.
And that's a detention center, Kilburn Hall?
Yeah, that's Saskatoon's youth facility.
Oh, okay.
And so she had already made a name for herself, and she was a part of the West Side Crips group because that's where her boyfriend was, and she had dated a few other ones from that group. And when I ended up in the courthouse, there was one guy there. His name was Eden, and Eden was a pretty high up West Side Crip. He was about 17 at the time. You know, I'm only 12, but I have heard of Eden a lot, so I'm like, oh, that's the guy. Like, that's, if anybody here, you know, we're like a whole bunch of native kids and stuff, and we got one tall Bosnian who's 17, and his name's Eden. I'm like, I'm taking Eden on my side if I can, right? And everyone else is trying to jump me because I'm the new kid. They're like, you know.
This is on day one?
Day one of being in Kilburn.
You're trying to get jumped already?
Oh, yeah, 100%.
They didn't put you in like a holding like area because your friend got released.
Yeah, no, they're just going
to put you in the general population area.
Oh, no, so here. You're arrested. You go to DMU, like detainment management, and then you're processed, brought into the youth facility.
Yeah.
That night that I spent there, I'm sleeping. It's you know, now late and 2 a.m. or whatever. Yeah. But I'm talking about going to the courthouse in the morning to go get like released or sentenced and deal with the court matter.
Right.
And they were not opposed to my release. I was getting out, but being in the back room in the holding unit with the general population of youth that were already facing charges, right?
Okay.
There's like
there.
3 different gangs and they're happening at once, right?
Right.
And so, you know, it's a new world for me coming in there and just seeing graffiti all over the cell and whatnot. And you're like, oh, wow, you know, I'm reading all the graffiti because that's where I'm interested in.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm a target because I'm like the whitest kid in there, other than Eden. And Eden already has an established rep that nobody's messing with him. He was just calm, cool in the corner. Nobody bothered him at all. They all knew like they'd get slapped around or whatever. But they saw me as a target. So like I was right away getting jumped for my burger and stuff. So they come in and they give you a McDonald's cheeseburger and a hash brown. That's your meal while you're waiting. Mm. And like the rule is that whoever's new, they come in, if you take their burger, they're the bitch, right? And so I didn't know that though. But fortunately in my head, I knew who the alpha male was. So I immediately was like, they gave me my burger. I was like, they're already going to try to rob me, which they were. They were like, give me your shit. And then they've been telling me before, they're like, when your burger comes, you give me that shit. And I'm like, no. And I'm a fat kid, so I don't want to be fat. I'm like, oh, you know what? I don't even want burgers. I'm just going to go give it to Ed. And so as soon as I got mine, I just came and handed it over to him. He's like, what's this for? And then I was like, just respect. And then he took it and he was like, okay. He's like, whatever, man. Like, probably thought it was a bitch move. But then he was like, yo, he's like, what are you here for? I'm like, told him the graffiti and that. And he's like, yeah, is your sister Carrie? And I was like, yeah, man. And he's like, oh, I know you. Yeah, I've seen you before. You're Carrie's little brother. And I'm like, yeah, man. And he's like, yeah, word. And then he like just kind of by association, all the other kids were like, oh, well, fuck, he might be with him. So like they kind of just backed off after that. And I was thinking in my head, I'm like, great, I'm like protected here. Like I'm scared as shit, but like right move in my head was like hand it to this guy because, you know, I had at least a little bit of a grab at him. And so for me, it was like, clearly I wanted to identify with those guys afterwards. And so it was like a positive experience in my mind where it's like, hey, I was protected by this guy inadvertently. And I know of him and his friends. And like, he's from Bosnia and my mom's friend for Creta is from Bosnia and her 2 sons are associated. And it ends up being that they were all close friends, but I didn't know because I didn't know how to associate with those guys at the time. Right. But eventually I did, and Alden and Armin were those pathway into the gangs that I hadn't known at first, but they were close friends with Eden because they were from Bosnia. They had immigrated together at the same time. So that's how I got in, found my footing with that gang, and it wasn't until later on, though, like two years later, when I was 14, that I ended up joining the gang, but was always associated around it because
you were
of my
around
graffiti.
the people, and your sister was kind of hanging around with these people, so they were like,
And I didn't stop doing graffiti either. I just kept doing graffiti. Graffiti was my outlet for all the things that I had faced personally, and I just did it more and more. Like I just didn't even care. I didn't even stop writing the same word. I just kept doing it more and more. The graffiti unit in Saskatoon, which was surprising, there was a graffiti specialist, like a police officer named Lee Jones, and that cop, he like always was on my case, and he knew like right away. The thing he said to me though, which like gave me more clout and more reason to keep doing it, was that he thought when I first got arrested, he thought he was looking for a 17-year-old kid. He wasn't expecting a 12-year-old child out doing this graffiti because he had thought the level of graffiti, like the way it was done, was too good for a minor my age, and he thought it was somebody older. And so he was chasing the wrong people, and then when he found out who I was, he was like, okay, I'm keeping tabs on this kid all the time now. But that just reinforced to me that I'm good. And I was like,
a bit of notoriety.
Yeah.
And then,
like,
you basically telling you're a good artist.
Yeah, so I just kept with it. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to stop. And by the time I was 17, I was far more known than most people would be. And my skills got a lot better by then, too. Yeah.
All right, so you get released, and then your next running with the law, I guess, or maybe fast forward to the next time because you get sentenced again for like an extended period of time, and then that's kind of like your introduction into the gang, right? So take us to that place.
Yeah, so as I said, I just kept doing the graffiti. At this point, I'm bouncing around between mom and dad's house, back to the east side. During this live-in stay with my dad on the east side, I was pretty good at hiding my shit, but I was still doing graffiti illegally. I was making graffiti crews. I was like becoming more and more known at school. I was committing assaults and stuff like that too, trying to like make a rep for myself, not with a gang, but like just for my own clout. And I started doing graffiti with this crew, OPN and COS, which were OPN was Our Property Now. It was the first graffiti crew I joined, and then I had made my own graffiti crew called Colors of Saskatoon, and that was COS. And then I let those guys join my crew so that we all had like a bigger group of kids, and we were doing graffiti like every day and whatnot. And we just happened to be going tagging down the tunnels on the east side, so there's a lot of tunnels between where Circle Drive goes across, and there's like big barrier walls, and those are like high spots for like tagging. So we're tagging through the tunnels and stuff, and we get caught by some Karen who just like reported us. We thought nothing of it, but you know, there was a cop that showed up like immediately. Like we literally got through the tunnel after tagging a little bit, and then there's a cop this side and a cop on the other side. We're kind of stuck, so we like take off running. My buddies got away, but I didn't. I got caught a few blocks away. And I couldn't really hide it because I had already been caught a few times. So this was like third or fourth time being arrested for graffiti. And at this point too, I had knives on me. So that was part of what stuck. Ended up getting remanded for a week, which was the first time I had done more than one night in and out. And then this time I got a remand and ended up with a roommate that also had, at one point in elementary school, dated my sister. And that youth there was an intimidating person. I knew who he was, and I always didn't like him. And we're roommates now, and I'm like, this is the first time I have a roommate, and I'm like, fuck, I don't like this guy. And then he starts opening up to me, and he's like, hey, yeah, you're Carrie's little brother, you know, and like, blah, 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 and like, you know, this and that. And I remember too, he once said, he's like, oh, your sister's hot. And I'm like, fuck you, don't talk about my sister. Like, again, I'm at the point where I'm like not taking shit from people. But he respected that, and he was like, yeah, man. After that, he just started like confiding in me and all his crimes he had done. He's bored, clearly. He's been in there for a lot longer than I have. And he's kind of my in to like how the jails work. I don't know. This is the first time being remanded. So I'm like, shit, man, like I can learn from this guy too. And he starts opening up to me about some crimes that he had committed, and they were so like unbelievable, the amount of detail that they were, and so specifically like heinous too. Like, he had talked about stabbing this one guy so many times and like just beating him with a knife and cutting his throat from ear to ear. He talked about like watching the blood fall out of him and watching the life come from his eyes. And he loved it, and he was enjoying it. Like when he told the story, it like made me curdle, but like thinking, no way this guy's telling the truth. Like, this sounds so bullshit. And I'm like, I'm only 14, he's 16, you know? I'm like, there's no way this is really happening, right? And so I kind of like think in my head, yeah, whatever. I'm just letting him like talk his shit.
Yeah, like,
right?
okay, sure, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, whatever, man. And then the next day I go out to make a phone call to my dad, and I had only been in there for like 2 nights now. And, you know, I call my dad on the unit, and this kid comes by and he drops a newspaper in front of me. And I look at it, and the headlines say random acts of violence in Confederation. And it shows a body print on the ground, and like you can see dried blood all over the area. And I'm like, holy crap. And then I thought, oh, you know what? This is the story. Where he's coming up with his story. It was already in the newspaper, and then I looked at the date, and I'm, oh no, that was today's date. And I like went like white as a ghost, and he like motioned to be quiet. And I'm like, holy fuck, this guy was telling the truth. And I'm like, uh-oh. And then by the time we got back to the room later, he's like, don't you say nothing about it. And then he's like, you know, and I want you to be down. He's like, I could give you a minute right now, or you could do a mission. And because there's only one of me, it's just going to be one-on-one. So he's like, we can either throw hands or like you go do this mission. I'm like, well, what's the mission? He's like, there's this guy, Cody, on the unit. He's this big native kid. He's like talking shit. And like, I need you to go punch him out for me. And I'm like, well, what's my options? Is either I get beat down by this kid who clearly will just murder somebody for fun, or, you know, I can be on his side. And same story as the Eden character earlier. I was like, I'm going to be on this guy's side because I don't want to be on the wrong side of these individuals. I know about them. I've heard about them. And I'm like, okay. So, you know, a day or so later, I come out to the units and I see Cody there. He knows that this is going to happen. He starts chirping me, and I just realized, like, fuck, I got this one chance to go at it. And so I just stood up and I just hit him with all I had, and then he fucking picked me up, body slammed me around the unit. guards are yelling lockdown. All the kids are trying to like watch and get involved and whatnot, but they got to get out of there. And I remember he picked me up and like slammed me on the treadmill that was in the corner, and I like triangled him with my legs, and then I just kept feeding him elbows as fast as I could, and kept him close because I knew if I was getting the elbows in, he's getting nothing, and he's this big guy, right? And so I just kind of like latched my legs around him. He was trying to still pick me up and slam me because he's a lot bigger. But yeah, that was it. And then I got in from that, and we got escorted out to the hole, and we were there for another night or so. But that was my beginning of my rep, and ended up coming back to that same unit and same roommate for the rest of the week. But they had said that like he had started the issue, the other youth, because he was a long-time veteran, right? He's been in and out. So they kind of like, I would say unjustly assumed that he had started the beef,
right?
Even though it was myself. But now I'm a part of this new gang, the West Side Crip, and
this is something that, were you ambivalent, like, I don't want to do this, but I feel like I have to, or like, was this like, actually, you know what, this could actually be good for me, I kind of want this? You were I feel
it's kind of both, really, yeah, because like one part, I didn't care to be down with anybody, but I also was growing a rep for myself, and I knew I could hold my own. But at the same time, I knew that if I'm in jail again, like I need backup because there's more people here than I am, right? Like, so, and the gangs were always way stacked against me. Plus I had known these youth to be pretty dangerous, and like I had heard about them in the streets, and I've heard of the things they've done. So I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's going to benefit me because I have nobody to protect me. I have no like parental guidance, and my mom's already drinking and using quite heavily at this point, and that's why I'm backing it out with my dad. Joining the gang while I was living at my dad's was not ideal. So of course, as soon as I got home and released, I was like, I'm leaving you. I'm going back to mom's, because I knew if I'm back on the west side, I could be with the gang. And I also knew that my dad would kick my ass if he had found out then. But yeah, I kept that pretty hush from him and just kept doing my thing. But it got worse and worse over the years, and started getting more and more into the substances and stuff like that, just following the path of my higher ups and what I was told to do. And I felt really accepted by them at the time. Like, it's hard to see differently when you're being fed drugs and alcohol and money, and you have a place to stay, where going home was always a roll of the dice, because my mom's either at the bar or she's like, shooting up, and like I didn't want to see that stuff. She tried to keep it under wraps from me seeing it, and I personally never watched her shoot up, but I had seen her high a lot, and I could tell that something was different. She's either drunk or high, something. And my sister unfortunately had watched my mom overdose one time and had saved her from drowning, and that was the part where my sister left, because she was like, I can't handle this, see my mom abuse drugs like this. So
yeah, damn. Okay, so you get released, you're moving in with your mom, and you're starting to hang around all these gang members now, and you're getting all this positive reinforcement. You're getting the connection that you're not getting at home. You're making some money.
Yep.
You are using substances, so it kind of alters your perception, and especially at that age too, you don't really, at least I can speak for myself and some of the youth that I've mentored, you don't really think like really long term. It's very short term gains. You're very impulsive, and I think that's why you see like a lot of acts of violence, because they don't really realize half the time what they're doing. It's just kind of like in the moment sort of thing. So you're living this like fast paced lifestyle that's drug fueled. You're hanging around these people.
Yep.
What kind of stuff are they making you do? Like, what does that look like practically?
Yeah, so I mean, when you're in a gang, they send you on what's called missions, and missions are like what they sound like. They're a plan to rob, steal, whatever the case might be, fights, even like murder some people, right? Like, I never was sent to do that, but I was sent to do B&Es on people's houses, like one of my higher ups' girlfriend's house at the time. And I thought it was real shady that he would do that to his own girlfriend. But it was the mission I was told to do. And I remember breaking into her house, and we stole all their jewelry and stole all their money, all their liquor, all their weapons, because her dad was in the military. So there was lots of different guns and stuff like that, like a lot of gun cases. I didn't actually see all the weapons. I just knew the cases, and we were loading them into the car. Stole ammunition and stuff. There was even grenades,
Jeez,
stuff like that, right?
grenades?
So yeah, there was a lot of different military
My God.
weapons in there, and there were lots of alcohol.
Jackpot.
Oh yeah, it seemed like it. We all celebrated that night. We were drinking all sorts of different kind of liquor and liqueurs and different stuff that no one ever had the money to buy, right? So it was kind of like, oh, well, right on. And we're looking at the jewelry and stuff, seeing what we can sell and whatnot. But yeah, I remember doing like those types of missions a lot. For me, a lot of different fights and stuff. Like I had to fight a lot of people to earn my rank. Starting off at like a hang around to a striker, and eventually going up to a soldier. And then the next ranks up, right? So I was trying to get my next ranks up so that I could put more people into the gang. So as a soldier, I could only put in, I think, 5 members. I could only put in 5 members underneath my name, which I had put a couple people in. But it was like just mostly clout. We were just trying to move up the ranks to be like recognized, right? And eventually that kind of persona or like attitude of trying to move up the ranks left me like acting hard all the time. Like I mean, I would sell drugs anywhere and didn't give a fuck. I wore my bandana on my head all the time, or one out my pocket, didn't matter, just daytime, whatever. You know, I was holding it down, and definitely wore those colors with pride, and really a part of it, and deeply connected to my gang, and really felt like they were my brothers at one point in time. And yeah, I just ended up getting into an altercation one day where some opposing gang was coming up. It was a new gang, terror squad, and they came to jump me. And I was selling drugs at Canada Day, and I was with this girl, Laura, and we were posted up. I'm selling ecstasy, and there's like thousands of people walking around because it's like just the fireworks had just happened. Everything's lit up. We all know this is the hot spot. When you go up to that corner, you can sell drugs there all night, make a ton of money. So I'm there posted up with my bandana on and my one out my back pocket, and I'm wearing my Dickies and stuff. And this big dude comes out of nowhere, and he's like, yo, take your shit off. And I'm like, fuck you. And I'm carrying a big butcher knife in my waist, and he's like, fucking take it off, you're getting stripped. I'm like, no, fuck that, man. And then I like showed him my weapon. He backed off. I kind of chased him around. I was like, yeah, I got the upper hand here. Like, he's not going to do nothing, right? He doesn't have any weapons. And then his other buddy comes running up me, and he's like, yo, man, you want to stab somebody? Stab me. And he reached at me with something, or like lunged towards me. And I didn't even hesitate. I just pulled the knife out, put it in his chest. And I remember the moment it went in, and he just like stared at me, and I pulled it out, and I could hear the blade ting from the shirt, and then him fall and thud. And it was just like instant. Like, I thought I just killed a man. And the people he was with started screaming and run to him. And the guy that I chased off comes running back towards him, and I grab Laura. We run down the alley. I'm running as fast as I can. And I trip over a pothole like a few blocks down in the alley. I fall on my face, and the knife flies out of my waist, and I look at it, and it's full of blood. And I look down at my shirt, and my white tank top is now covered in blood. And I realized, like, I just took a man's life, you know, and I just puked right there. And I grabbed the knife, and all sticky and whatnot, and put it back under my waist. I ran down the street to the closest safe house we had, which was Laura's friend. They weren't home, so we were panicking. I broke in through her window. I started cleaning the knife off, thinking that I just murdered this guy. And now I'm like deep, really deep. My whole life just like trembling. I'm fucking shaking, and I'm like, I'm going to die. And like, this guy's dead. I'm going to go away for life. And I'm freaking out. Like, what do I do? And I'm thinking, I'll bleach this knife and throw it in the river. And then we're like cleaning the knife off, and Laura has now just realized that, like, you just fucking stabbed this person. Like, and she's trying to help it out, and we're trying to figure out what to do. And almost immediately my older sister calls me, and she's like, what the fuck did you just do? And I'm like, I didn't do anything, you know, trying to lie about it. And she's like, you just did, because the people she was with, again, they were tied to my gang. She was very much a part of the gang, but inadvertently, because her boyfriend is this, and then his cousin is part of my gang, and he's high up, right? And they had just gotten jumped because they had thought that it was them that did it, not me. They didn't know how to identify us because we all looked similar. right? Because we all shaved our heads. We all had buzz cuts. That was like the way we rocked the gang, right? So, and me and this other guy, Cody, looked a lot alike, and we're about the same height, sort of same stocky build. And
so he got the blame for
the
stabbing.
He was getting pressed for it, and he denied it and everything. Obviously, different place, different time.
Right.
But, you know, that's why my sister's calling me up within like a half an hour of this happening.
She put two and two together.
Yeah, she already knew who it was.
Right.
And so she went to bat to protect me for years, and still, you know, I just kept making it worse for myself. But I didn't know what she was doing to try to protect me, obviously. And I'm just trying to build a rep because I'm stupid and I'm young, and I think that this is my ticket to being solid and tough, you know, and like protected by my clique. Oh, I'm going to get my higher up, you know, and then I can put more people in, and then I'll have some status or whatever. But it wasn't the case, but it was something that I believed truly then. And, you know, that doing that though, all it did was severely fuck up my life to the point where I'm like constantly on edge, getting rolled up on with katana swords. I remember this one time I was on 22nd Street, and I became very vigilant about my time and place everywhere. I had only started going around places at a certain time. Because
you were afraid that you were going to get jumped by people of the other gang for stabbing this guy?
Yeah, 100%.
And did this guy, did he die?
He didn't die,
so he
was on life support for 3 months from what I heard, and he had nearly died.
So his friends are out looking hunting, now that they know it's not this Cody guy, they found out that it was you. Somehow, did they?
They kind of process of elimination, but I had lied my way through a lot of the altercations that I had. So there would be times where I get pressed, and this one time with the katana swords, you know, I knew this one guy who I did time with, and he had pressed me with this other guy, and I have no idea who he is, and he's got a sword, and he's fucking like a jittery, ready to go kind of person, and I'm like, fuck, I'm gonna get my head chopped off here. And I'm scared because I'm like, I'm right on the side of the busy street in Saskatoon, and like, this is the hood. Like, this shit could happen and people won't even stop. And I'm like, fuck, man. And I'm trying to lie, and I'm wearing my blue, right? I'm wearing all my colors, and they're like stripping me. They're taking my hat off and stuff, and like pushing me around. And I'm trying to act like, well, you and me are bros, right? Like, we've done time together. Like, you know me. And he's like, fuck you, man. He's like, I ain't fucking boys with any, you know, you Crips anymore. And he's like, Cash Boy Killer. And he's like, he's pressing me, trying to like talk shit. And I'm like, yo, bro, it's all good. Like, trying to be as calm as I literally can. Inside, I'm like fucking ready to like run immediately. And I'm like, nah, man, it wasn't me. Like, I'm sorry, yo. And he's telling me, he's like, yo, this guy is like nearly dead, man. He's shitting through a bag. And he's like, you're going to be fucking shitting through a bag. And then like he punched me once, and I kind of just took it on the chin, and it was like, you know, whatever, as long as it's not that fucking sword. And that guy was ready to go, and then he's like, nah, man, he's a little fucking bitch. And all I can say is thank God that happened, right? I took a punch and lost my hat, but like, yo, I got away alive. And I walked off as calmly as I could until I could see that they were gone in my peripheral. And as soon as I felt they were out of my sight, I ran. I'm like, and I lived right in the hood too, so I was a block away. They didn't know that, but I did, and I'm like, fuck, man. So I run to the house, I grab my shit, I'm like, I'm not staying here anymore. I left for a week or two and stayed with Laura, just coach to coach, and but one day I came back, and my boys are trying to like, hey, man, let's meet up, like, let's fucking, we gotta do some stuff and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, yeah. And I'm getting set up by Cody, and I didn't know, and like, Cody again is like tied to my sister, and like, I'm thinking he's on my side.
Yeah, he's trustworthy.
He's in my gang, right?
Sisters in your gang. He's
100%. He's bringing 3 other guys with him, and like, one's my close homie Devin, and the other one's Jesse. And you know, these are guys that are big, and like, they're I've known them to fight. I've been with them and watched them fight like 5 guys at once and take them out. So I'm like feeling pretty protected with them, not knowing that they're the ones setting me up. And I remember we went to the McDonald's on 22nd Street, and I already have the timeline in my head of, well, like, we don't go there at this time. Like, that is stupid. That is dangerous. That's when these guys are waking up. I'm like, you don't go around here at this time. And they're like, no, don't worry, man. I'm just hungry. Like, let's just fucking, let's go grab some food, and then we'll jet to the east side where this party is supposed to happen, right? And I wasn't sure. I was like, these guys are acting weirder than normal, but at the same time, like, they're my boys, and I'm like, if anyone's gonna protect me, it would be these guys, right? And, you know, it turns out Devin had no idea this was happening. Even Devin's kind of like, what the fuck, man? Let's just go to like a different one then. And he's like, we just go to a different location. And they're like, no, fuck that. It's right here. It's like, yeah, but it's the hood, bro. That's dangerous. And we go in anyways. And, you know, we're carrying like little weapons. I didn't have much on me because I'd already taken all my shit and brought it to Laura's house. So I didn't have anything in the house. And my mom was in and out of using and stuff. So she was once in a while home, and there's like no food. There's nothing in my house. It looks like it literally has been robbed. Like a kitchen knife, I gave one to Devin. There was no other kitchen knives for me to carry. It was like a steak knife we gave Devin. I grabbed a hammer, and I'm like, that's the only thing I can find around here. And I'm like, fuck, I don't feel very protected, right? And so we go in there, and they're like, well, we could scrap anyone that comes up. And we're ordering food, and I see this young kid that his nickname was Pickle, and I recognized him right away. I was like, this is a new kid that's been popping up in and out of the Kilburn. And I'm like, I know he's down with this gang, right? And he's going to want to make a name for himself. So I tell Devin and them, like, yo, that's Pickle. I was like, we should get the fuck out of here. They're like, oh, don't be afraid of Pickle, man. He's just a little kid, right?
Not a very intimidating nickname. You know?
No, exactly, right? Like, obviously that like fucking discredits me a little bit, but
Pickle?
I'm aware. I'm intelligent. I'm like, this is not good. And then
you're putting two together. You're like, okay.
We go sit upstairs, and as soon as we sit down with our food, I hear the back door get kicked in, all the glass busts open, and it's just like, you know, they come in, they're doing our gang noise, which is like a machine gun. It's like, Drat! You know, and they're like yelling that out, and they're like, yo, Crip killer, and the fucking bitch. And they're like coming in. I can hear like lots of people starting walking through that back door, and I'm thinking, fuck, dude, like how many are coming in? They're breaking the windows and stuff with bats and shit. And I like look up because there's 2 floors, and I thought they were going downstairs because there's a basement. There's an upstairs, and I chose upstairs because I thought it's faster to run downstairs than it is to run upstairs, right? So, and plus, if you're running upstairs, you can get kicked down. But if you're coming downstairs, I can kick downwards. So that was my logic. And we're upstairs, and I go look, and I see, oh, fuck, man, there's like 6 of them right here. And I'm like, let's get going through the front, boys. They're like, oh, we could scrap them. There's fucking 4 of us or 5 of us versus like 6 of them. We can handle it. 10 more people walking through the front doors now. Jeez. And we're getting surrounded by both, and they're circling us in the fucking lobby, and I'm trying to act hard, like, oh fuck, man, I'm trying to hold it together. I'm like, let's go outside, like, let's handle this shit outside, man. We walk towards the front door, and they're moving me forward out to the door, and I'm like, holy fuck, there's like 10 more people outside, all surrounded, waiting on the outside door. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm gonna die today. And I'm like, this is not going well. I'm like, someone set me up, and I could already feel it in my head. But the guys are like pushing us towards the door, and we're like, fuck, now we're all surrounded. And I'm outside, like out of the door, and Devin and Jesse and Cody are in the door, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I'm the literally only one outside now. And they're all pushing me towards the group, like further and further into the jumping here. And of course, I know like half of these people too, and I'm trying to like lie my way through this, right? Like the best I can. And I don't care if I look like a bitch, because there's fucking guys with hammers. There are not hammers, baseball bats with nails and screws in the fucking bats. I see guys with pipes and batons and bear mace and shit like that. And I'm like, I'm standing there, and I'm trying to talk my way out of it with this other guy. And then the dude I originally pulled my knife out on to like press, that guy came around the corner. He's like, yo, that's the guy who stabbed, Buddy. And then boom, somebody hit me so hard in the face that I like literally lifted off my feet and I fell in towards the window. But fortunately at that time, someone from behind stabbed at me, and they got me into the shirt, but they went like, cause I was like airborne, it had like just sliced my back and just cut me slightly. And I don't know what I was getting stabbed at with, but thank God I got hit so hard I flew off my fucking feet, and I got stomped out really bad. They broke my nose. They gave me a pretty severe concussion, broke my rib, had like raccoon eyes from the head trauma. I got 7 or 8 stitches across my eyebrow right here. And just fucked up. They stole my shoes, my hat, everything on me, basically. I'm like sitting there bloody as fuck and don't know what's going on. I get up after like the last person steals my shoes, and I like see them run off to the side, and I get up thinking, oh, I'm still alive, holy crap. I like run inside and I can see blood pouring from my face everywhere. And I'm like, oh man, I got fucked up, right? And I'm like walking in just concussed, and my friend Devin's like grabbing as many napkins. He's like, give me some more napkins. And then I can see this lady calling the police. She's like, yeah, a guy was just stabbed in the front of the store. And she's like freaking out, and like I'm pouring blood everywhere. And all the time we run back to my house across the street now, and Jesse and Cody are like, fucking take your shirt off because you got stabbed. And I'm like, whoa, what? And then I take off my stuff, and they're like, oh my God, you're lucky, dude. They're like, you just got scratched. They're like, you're lucky, man. And then they're like, put this on. Like, we got to go to the hospital. And they're trying to get me to go to St. Paul's, which is like right in the hood. And I'm like, no fucking way am I going to St. Paul's. We're like walking right back into their territory. They're going to come right there. They're probably waiting there right now thinking like, oh yeah, we just jumped him and he's going to go over to that hospital. We'll get him again. I'm like, fuck that, man. I'm like, we're going to a different hospital across the city, and we don't got nothing, man. We're hiking all the way. I'm walking concussed, fucked up, broken rib, broken nose, eyes pouring everywhere. I'm holding like napkins still on my face.
Are you pissed at them? Are you like, bro, what the fuck? You guys all just stood there and watched me get jumped?
Yeah, that's
like,
exactly
I
what
would have
it
been
is.
like, get the fuck away from me, man.
That's how it felt initially too, and I was mad, but I'm also so dazed. I'm like fucking barely.
You're just trying to figure out recovery and
I'm like, I gotta get to the
support.
hospital because I don't know how severe things are. Like I could feel my side is in pain, and I'm like, what happened? Right? Like I'm still thinking I'm dying here. I'm like, I don't know, man. Something hurts on my rib, and like, yeah, they cracked the rib, and it was pretty bad. But had enough to walk, and I'm like, limping and fucking dazed, and I'm barefoot, man. I'm literally going across the city barefoot, concussed and bloody. And we're going to the East Side Hospital, which is the university. And as we're going on our way there, we get downtown right by Jesse's apartment, and this black Cadillac rolls up, and it slowly creeps up to me. And I'm like thinking, why the fuck isn't he going? It's green light, right? And I'm like, well, maybe because I'm starting to jaywalk, right? Like, I was going to go behind him. They creep up, they pull down the window, and I see a fucking shotgun come out, and I immediately like, oh fuck, they're after me. I started zigzagging, immediately ran around them in the backside. I see him pull out the other side of the window on the next side. And I'm fucking, oh shit, if this is a shotgun, like it's a buckshot, if I spread out, like maybe I'll just get hit with a pellet or something, right? And I'm zigzagging, looking wild, as fucking running as fast as I can now that I'm barefoot, running over gravel. And I run towards Jesse's, but I'm thinking these guys probably already know we were heading there. And so I'm like, fuck, I can't go there right this second. And like, they came speeding up, and I could hear the engine roaring. They're coming up. And I'm like, fuck, I'm going to run towards the Mac store. And I run towards the Mac store, and I see this apartment there. And there's a shed, and I can see this giant like metal shovel that they use to like push off a lot of snow. And I'm like, okay, right there. I'm running in there. I go hide behind the shed. I put the shovel over me. I'm hiding in this shovel, and I'm like right between the two fences, and I can hear the car rolling really, really faintly. Hear some bass in the gravel underneath the tires. And they're like looking for me, and they're like, I don't see him, and like this and that. And I could hear the gravel slowly get distant and further away. And as soon as I felt like it was far enough up that before they have to turn right, I threw that shit off, ran across the street, ran to the apartment. My buddy Devin was fortunately in the front door, and I yanked on it. He's right there. He gets me in, and we call up our boys, and they put on the show that it's like we're all here to ride for you, bro. And like, it's the first time now I'm holding a Glock in my hand, and I'm fucking wearing a vest, and my boys are all strapped up with guns and shotguns. And like, the funny story is my higher up, the psycho guy that got me in the gang, he has a fucking grenade in his hand. And it was like, what the hell are you going to do with a grenade, dude? Like,
it would have been useful at the McDonald's.
Yeah, the McDonald's, fuck yeah, I'd need that
come
guy.
At
right?
me,
Like,
I'm blowing this bitch
we're
up.
all dying,
We're
right?
all
Like,
going.
and it was like in my head, I'm like, this is so fucked up. But I mean, that part where he had that grenade just kind of made me laugh, and everyone in the car started laughing because we're like, what the fuck are you going to do with a grenade, dude? Like, and we didn't even know he had it. He just pulled it out. He pulled the pin out too and
What?
held it. He's like, anyone fuck with you, bro? We're going to kill them and blow them up. I'm like, put that in there, dude. Like, how does that work? He's like, it's fine. As long as I hold the fucking thing, it's fine. And we're like, I don't give a shit, dude. Like, you fucking moron.
Yeah.
Like, everyone's like, what's wrong with this guy?
I can't be around people holding grenades.
And like, they all gave me a Glock, like I said, for the first time too. And they were like telling me there's hollow points in there. They're like, this will blow a fucking hole in a person. So like, you hold on to that. And then I'm like holding it, and I'm just thinking like, holy fuck, man, I don't.
Shit's getting real.
I never wanted to use a gun like this, you know. Like I've used 22s that I've stolen and whatnot, but like holding a Glock with hollow points, it's like it's a different feeling. And wearing a bulletproof vest now too, I'm like, this is wild, man. Like, are we doing a drive-by next? Like, what's happening? I just got a gun pulled on me like a moment ago. Going to the hospital now, they drop me off. They're like, yo, just tell them it was a skateboarding accident or whatever, right? Like, so I try to lie and say that. They didn't buy it. They didn't care. They still helped me out and, you know, put me in there. But my mom, she comes in and she's like crying and freaking out because she knows that this has gotten pretty extreme. But like also she's so neglectful and negligent. She hasn't been around. She didn't know what's happened, right? And like now she's like, oh my God, you got to get the hell out of here, right? And she sent me away. And that was for me a turning point, but like still came back and ended up finding out more shit happening. I got back eagerly after about a month being away in Flin Flon, Manitoba for my protection and healing up from my concussion and stuff like that. Staying at my sister's house and, you know, I'm fucking stupid. So I go break it into places, steal guns, steal weapons and stuff like that. And all the time I'm telling my homies, like, I'm coming back. Like, we're going to lay it down. I got lots of weapons and shit like that. And they're like, you know, excited for me to come back. And
wait, did you know that the guys that you were with, did you still not know that they set you up?
I didn't know at that time. No.
So you still didn't. So were they the ones that you were talking to? And they're like, yeah.
No, it wasn't them, actually. I was only talking directly to my higher up because I told him that I feel like someone set me up. But I thought at the time, I really did think my friend Devin was the one that set me up. And he was like, no, there's no fucking way Devin would do that. And I was like unsure, you know, I was like, because there's no way that Cody and Jesse would, because Cody is like, known him since like early, right? Like he's my sister's boyfriend's cousin, like, and I thought there was more of a connection there. But, you know, obviously if it's his life or mine, he's going to choose mine, right? And that's where I realized that, like, just when you think that you're going to be blood brothers forever, that you're not. Is if their life's on the line, your life's going. It's not theirs, you know? And I think that goes across the board for anyone, but
quick to throw you under the bus.
100%. And I didn't know that at the time. So I remember calling them up and telling them, like, yo, I'm coming back. Like, I miss you guys and this and that. I'm just tired of being at my sister's house. Like, I love my sister, my oldest sister, Teresa. I just didn't want my nieces to see me like that, because I remember how weird it was when they saw me and I'm all fucked up with black eyes and, you know, barely can walk. I'm sleeping for 3 days on straight. Like, you know, I literally recovered out there. My mom put me on a bus that next morning. I was out on my way to fucking Flin Flon. I'm like literally sleeping on the bus. I'm like, oh shit, I'm already in Flin Flon, you know? So we're out there and I stole a bunch of guns, 2 22s and a large hunting rifle that looked like a bigger caliber. I remember like going into the field and not knowing how these single shot actions work, and didn't know that when I pulled it back, and this time it didn't like just spring load, like when it pulled, it was actually like cocked, and I didn't know. And I'm like looking in the barrel. I didn't know if there was a fucking bullet in there. I had no idea. I'm looking at it, and I literally accidentally pulled the trigger as I was putting it, like gonna go turn it around and like pretend to cock it and shoot it. And like I just went like that, and I pulled the trigger and it shot. And I was like, holy fuck! I just about shot myself in the face. And I'm like, oh my God. And I'm like out in the middle of a field at like 2 a.m. So I'm like, I run back to my auntie's house and I like hide it underneath their shed. And I'm like, oh dang, that was crazy. It's wild too, because like in Flin Flon, like, you know, there's bears that walk around in the middle of the streets and stuff.
It sounds like a place where there'd be like wilderness.
Yeah,
Flin Flon?
exactly.
I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, Flin Flon, Manitoba. It's way up north. But anyways, yeah, like I ended up coming back with these weapons, and like basically the first night back, we're trying to meet up, and goes down that we're trying to link up with me, Devin, Alden, and Noel, and we're all trying to like link up. And me and Alden live really close together. Like he lives on this side of 33rd Street, and I just lived on the other side of it. And there's a Mac store in between us, and like this is back when we had to load minutes on our phones. And they were trying to get a hold of me, and I had ran out of minutes through the time I was texting them. Like, fuck, I have to get more minutes, and like I couldn't respond. So I'm like going to the Mac store. I'm already late. I fell asleep like on the couch and like woke up way later. I'm like, oh shit, I'm like, they're waiting on me, right? So I like run to the store to go get this, and I see police everywhere, and I'm like, what the fuck's going on, right? And I'm like, get my minutes on the phone. I'm trying to call them. They're not answering. I'm like panicking. I'm like, what the fuck? I can't go across the street. There's police everywhere, and that's where he lives. So I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So I just run all the way down to Noel's house, way down at the end of Fairhaven, which was like 6-7K away. And I ran there and I get there and I'm like, where's the boys? They're like, they're not here yet. And I'm like, okay, well, let's just start drinking, I guess. We'll wait for them. And turns out what happened is Alden and Charlotte and Devin, Charlotte was Alden's girlfriend. They were already pre-drinking, waiting for me, but I'm being fucking slow because I fell asleep. And then we were supposed to meet up. And then, so they ended up getting rolled on by some young guy. He was trying to build his name for himself. He wanted to become Terror Squad, so he was a cash boy killer is what he was trying to be, a self-proclaimed. So he came to get me, and he would have caught me if I had been there, right? Like, but I wasn't. So again, thank God I wasn't there. But unfortunately, Charlotte and them were there, and when they came out of the apartment, this kid was ready. He like had a gun. He came up. He held him up. As soon as Alden and Devin saw him, they took off running. They weren't protected or anything. They took off running. He shot once at them. Devin said he was running to the houses that were right by 33rd, and he went and jumped the fence. He said he heard it hit the tree, and he like fucking ran and ducked and hid. And Alden kept running down the street, and then Charlotte was so drunk, she was just there trying to like get tough with him, like, who the fuck are you? Like, who you think you are? You think you could shoot at me? Like, and she punched him in the face because Devin watched it happen. And he said he watched her punch him. He's like, you can't fucking shoot a girl. And he just shot her twice right in the stomach and fucking killed her.
Killed her.
Yeah, she ended up dying later that night. We found out when they didn't even make it to the party at Noelle's house. We were on Facebook at like 4 a.m. People were posting rest in peace Charlotte. We're like, what the fuck? She's supposed to be here tonight. Like, what the hell? And we're trying to get a hold of Alden and them. And then Alden's calling us crying. And he's like, she just died, man. She just died in my hands. And we're like, holy fuck, she just got murdered, you know? Like, this is wild. It just happened. And it happened a block away from my house, like minutes before. Like, I was supposed to be there. Like,
yeah, and that person was actually aiming for you.
Yeah, probably.
Originally.
Yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, I'm the one that started this beef, right? And
it's
like,
crazy how one decision can just have this, like, butterfly effect towards, like, everything else.
And it's something that, like, you know, I have to live with and deal with the trauma that happened. But it's not like it stopped there. It just kept going, right? And it was like the feeling of knowing that someone died who didn't need to die is like such a trauma or such a negative feeling to carry with yourself, knowing that like you caused that. And not only that, but like the trickle down effect that kept happening after that. It was like it was a gang war. Like, it was constantly like, look out, like, always have your head on a swivel. Like, it was never a point after that where I could feel safe. I was always watching for police. I had every cop car I knew about marked because I didn't want to go to jail because I knew I'd be in there against a larger number against me, right? And I'm like, dude, like, the only time I felt protected is when I'm sleeping on the couch with my boys, you know, like, and even then it was like, I hate this life. I hate fucking having nowhere to go, nothing to eat. I'm surviving off like nothing, man. Like, yeah, like, it sucked, but it was something that I had to go through. And fortunately, I ended up getting arrested for another armed robbery for myself. You know, I carjacked this person, stole his car, and it was just a night of me being drunk later on, and got lost, saw kids deliver newspaper, and went and robbed him for his iPod. And then all of a sudden he's yelling for his dad, this guy stole my iPod. And I'm like, oh, who the fuck's this guy? And he's like, hey, give that back. And he like comes walking up to me, and I'm like, okay. Pull out my knife and stick it up to his throat. And I'm like, give me your fucking keys. And he gives me the keys. And I go hop in the car, and I'm thinking too, like, as I'm walking around the car after like holding him against his car with a knife to his throat, I'm thinking, I hope this car is not a manual because I don't know how to drive manual at this point. I'm like, I'll be fucked, dude. This would be real embarrassing. I'm like, hop in. I'm like, oh, great. It's a stick shift. Like, it's just automatic. So I like hop in and like take off, and I'm like, fuck, man. I'm thinking to myself too, like, that was super unnecessary. Like, definitely didn't need to do that. But I had ditched cabs so many times in that last week that I was like, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get away with ditching another cab, right? Like, especially to the same neighborhood. Like, I'm sure they're onto it, right? But yeah, I ended up stealing that car and keeping it for about a week, and then using it for another mission, which was to like write off some dude's RX-8. Some rich kid didn't like that his dad bought him an RX-8 instead of an RX-7, just like a JDM Legend car. he wanted an RX-7. His dad thought, hey, the new RX-8's out. He's like, I'm going to buy him an RX-8 instead. I'm a good dad. But he hated it, mad. He's like, you know what? I want you to like crash it up, and we'll let you like rob my dad's farm. He's got like a bunch of guns and this and that. My higher ups set up the deal. They're like, yeah, that's what you're doing, Jordan. Like, you're going to go crash this guy's car, write it off, make sure you hit him in the front. And then he's going to get his insurance, and then he's going to go get the car he wants. He's going to let us break into his dad's farm. He's going on vacation. It's all set up, right? I'm like, okay, well, that's what we do. Go do that mission. I hit him in the car. I have to fucking run from the police and stuff. And like, I'm running, and like, I just got in a car accident, which was pretty painful.
Yeah,
hitting your face on a steering wheel like fast, like, you know, it's like, holy shit. But I'm like wiping down the car. I run off. I fucking go to the other safe house. It's like about 6-7 blocks away. And I remember it was like a whole dramatic scene. Like, there's no helicopters in Saskatoon, but we have what's called ghetto birds. They're just police planes that have infrared, and they can see the heat map on the ground. So I remember running a few blocks away and getting away from the police in cars. And then when I got to this big open field, I'm like, I'm fucked, the ghetto bird's right there. So I went and like hugged one of those power boxes in the field. And I like knew that would be like, my heat map would be spread out further. So I waited until I saw the plane go pretty far up, and like, now it's at such a distance, I'm sure it wasn't like aiming that area. It's probably thinking I'm further away by now. And as soon as it did, well, I'm just like across the field into the first row of townhouses. So I like get up, I run to the townhouses. My buddy, my higher up, he's there at his girlfriend's safe house, and he has the door open and he's ready for me. He comes, opens the door, and I just dove in through the door. It was a little overly dramatic, but I remember just diving in and knocking over his girlfriend because she walked in and didn't know what was going on. It was pretty funny. And anyways, they closed the door, and we're like, we made it. Like, fuck yeah, we did it. And then I was so fucked up on drugs at those times too that like I hadn't even slept for days. I was all coked out and doing these missions and stuff. And that night we celebrated and drank and got more high. And then my buddy's like, you know what, we gotta get the fuck out of here. We gotta go to Vancouver. He's like, I got a safe place there, and like this and that. And I got another girl will stay at her house. And so he convinces me that we gotta go to Vancouver tonight. So I'm like, okay, I have to go home and pack my shit. So I have to go all the way to the West End again now and figure out how the fuck I'm gonna get all my stuff together and get over here without being caught with a giant hockey bag of shit. Because I had some guns that I had to bring. I had some knives, like some Rambo knives, and some mace and stuff like that, and some coke and whatnot. And I go home to my mom's house on the West End, and I'm packing up my bag, and I'm like so tired all of a sudden. I'm like, I just crept through like this entire area, jumping fence to fence through the alley, in and out constantly to get here. Because I was so afraid of the police unit following me. Gang unit followed me all the time. It was called Showcap, and they really watched you. Like they were on your case, and they were following me because I had seen them on the street earlier, and I ducked out, and that's where I started like going on a goose chase to get to the house. And now I'm like, okay, they had seen me at one point, but I don't think they see me anymore, right? I ran the opposite way from my house initially to take them off the trail. And I knew they followed me because I saw them come through the alley, and I ran that way. Then I had to fucking turn around and go all the way back, which was like way further away. And I got back, and I'm like, okay, I got time to shower. Okay, I showered. I'm feeling okay. Now I'm feeling pretty tired, and I'm like, oh, man.
I bet.
I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like coming down finally, and I'm like, oh, man, I just want to take like a quick nap. And I laid down on my bed for a moment while I just put on underwear, and I'm like playing with my dog, Hammy. And she's like cuddling me, and I'm like, oh fuck, it's kind of cute, you know. Fall asleep and like put my knife underneath my pillow where it normally is with its sheath, and I wake up to Hammy barking, and then all of a sudden fucking 10 cops are arresting me, and I've got my knee in my back and everything, and my bag's right there full of like, there's some coke on there, there's fucking a sawed-off rifle, there's Rambo knives in there, and a can of mace. What I didn't know, though, is my mom, before she had called the police on me and let them know that I'm there, this was her way of like trying to protect me. It was like, I'm turning him in. I didn't know she took out the weapons on top, but she didn't know there was a gun on the bottom. And she had no idea. And she had already recon, came in, saw the mace, saw the knives, took them out and hid them or whatever, took the coke. She was an addict at the time, so she probably used it. but hit all that shit, right? And I'm like, they're arresting me now. They're like taking the knife underneath my pillow, this and that. I'm handcuffed in underwear. They're like, okay, time to get dressed. And they're going in the bag. And I look at my mom and I'm like, oh no. And I think she thought like, oh, I already got everything. And I looked at her. I was like, oh no, I'm fucked. If they see that gun loaded and stolen, I'm fucked. And then I looked at her and I couldn't say anything. And she's like, no, because the cops were digging in the bag. They were already pulling clothes out. And like, my mom's like, no, he doesn't like that. Here, I'll get him his clothes. Don't worry about it. And she like was being kind of nice about it. She starts digging through, grabbing this stuff, like my clothes. She grabbed me like this and that. And then she must have seen it briefly or something because she looked at me and she was just mad. And I was like, oh, fuck, man. I'm like, I sure hope they don't search that bag. She handed it. She kept playing her part, She gave me my clothes. I didn't give a fuck what she gave me. It was all shit I would never wear. And I was like, whatever, man. That's like to save my ass, right? Like this could be an even bigger sentence. I could be tried as an adult here.
100%.
So, fortunately there I got arrested and I ended up doing my largest sentence then, getting 18 months. And that was
what they arrest you for though, because
it was for the armed robbery. And what actually happened is I was wanted for that accident. So I ended up hitting that guy so hard, I broke his arm and his leg, and he was pissed that he got injured. So he decided to just say fuck that whole deal and ratted on me.
Jeez.
Yeah, so that was.
So he was in the car when you hit him?
Yeah, I had to make it look like an accident, right?
Oh.
Yeah, so we basically drove around the block a few times. I missed him. Couldn't obviously just nick his back, but he's on the phone with me. He's like, you have to hit me in the front. Like, it has to be a total write-off. Otherwise, I won't get, they'll just repair the car, right?
Yeah,
I'm like, okay. And I missed him the first 2 times, so I'm like, I got fucking hit him. And I was like, no way I'm missing the 3rd time, man. I just hammered it straight into him. Jeez. And yeah, I got him in the front right of his tire. And yeah, he got the worst of it apparently, and that's why he was pissed. And
your adrenaline must have been through the roof, man. You're trying to you're smashing his car.
Yeah, on a 3-day bender where I hadn't even slept and I've been just doing coke for 3 days. So yeah, God. It was pretty wild. And then thank God I got arrested because I didn't even know I was getting addicted. I was just taking gummers of my product before I sell it, and I didn't know that I was just continually spiraling. I didn't even notice it. I just thought I was using it like real casually.
Yeah.
But spending those first 2 weeks in jail was just like, man, I couldn't sleep. And make matters worse, the guy who murdered Charlotte was in the cell next to me.
Really?
Yeah, so I was like stupid because we're in 24-hour lockdown, so there's nothing I can do. Like, serious crimes, we have to go to the East Unit, which is locked down, right? And we're all youth, right? And I'm like being stupid because I find out this guy's Danny is in there, and I like come out of the room and I'm like kicking his door like it's gonna do something. I'll fuck you up when I see you, acting tough, and it's like it's gonna do nothing, but had to let him know that I was there, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, yelling at him all day and night because I'm still unable to sleep and shit, and I want him to know he's gonna get what he deserves, right? I don't think anything ever happened to the guy. I think he only got like 7 years for that murder and something like that. But at the time, that's where everything was going. And like, thank God I was there because I realized, fuck, man, I'm addicted. And I also realized that I'm not in the greatest shape to be like fighting anymore. I've been using weapons and stuff like for the last 7 months or so, right? So I remember I just trying to do push-ups every night to get in shape to like put some muscle on, get a little bit more ready to fight because I'm like likely going to be fighting in the court cells, or once I get put on a unit, I'm probably going to be scrapping some people. So I'm like getting prepared mentally and also just trying to fatigue myself to fall asleep. And yeah, it finally worked after every single Archie comic and Reader's Digest in that facility. I finally slept after a couple of weeks. It was brutal though. I had such bad insomnia.
Yeah, we're coming down off just this drug and adrenaline filled rampage that you went on.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah, you're probably right. Thankfully you did get, because you were ready to leave that night and go to Vancouver for whatever reason. And who knows what that trip would have brought, even to get there itself, to drive alone. Like, there were so many things that could have happened.
Yeah, and we didn't even have a car. I'm sure we were probably out to steal one.
Yeah.
I would have done it. I mean, I know I would have. So.
Damn, okay, so you just get that sentence. Oh, were you going to say something, babe? No. So you get this 18 months, you said?
Yep.
18 months. And you're in there. I mean, how is that stay for you while you're there? Like, what's going through your mind right then? I mean, you must... are you communicating with people in your gang? Are there people in your gang that are there? Are you thinking about, like, this lifestyle is like, I gotta get away from this? Like, where's your head at? You're trying to write, like, once you get sober.
Yeah, so it wasn't actually then that I had started changing. I mean, personally, like, the police knew what I had done with the stabbing. When I did get arrested, and I remember I was going for my trial for the armed robbery, a homicide detective took me into a back room and started interrogating me. And he was questioning where you were at, and I'm just being silent, like, you know, doing what I'm told, just, you don't know nothing. And I kept quiet, didn't say shit. And then he finally just got to the point, he's like, you know, we already know you did it. He's like, and I'm going to tell you right now, you're lucky to be alive. And you need to know this, that eventually they will forget. And I remember thinking that was like the most important thing I've ever heard. I'm like, eventually they'll forget? You really think that, like, I'll be okay one day? He's like, you don't change your shit right now. He's like, you're fucking dead. And whatever the case was, why I was sentenced the way I was, the structure of the sentencing, I wasn't allowed to be anywhere near my gang. I got sent away. So right after basically being in East Unit for a few weeks until my trial, I think it was a month I was in East Unit. And then I was on remand, and this was still while there was a 2-for-1 for youth, right? Every 1 day served is 2 months, right? Or every month served would be 2 months on sentence. So you counted some of it as time served on a remand, and then sentenced me to 18 months. But I was sentenced away from Saskatoon. I was like, this part of my conditions was I was not allowed to be in Saskatoon at all until I was over 18. And they had sent me first to Regina, where I stayed in Dojack, and then I stayed in Yorkton, Orcadia Youth Residence. And that's where I spent the next 6 months in my sentence, was there. And Orcadia was a super strict facility. Like, they wouldn't even allow you to, like, say man, dude, bro, like dope, sick, nothing, no slang whatsoever. Otherwise you'd lose your levels and you were more room confined. And because of that, like, it was hard to deal with the time there, but a lot of youth wanted the privileges. And when you get your levels there's a lot of freedom. Like, you're actually out of your room most of the time, which is huge. You can even cook in the kitchen and stuff. And like, that's what I strive for, to, like, keep my time busy. I just remember, though, being away from everyone in my gang and realizing too that, like, everything that I did now, I'm facing the consequences of that, and like dealing with all these kids in the other gang that know what I did. They know who I am. They know that I can fight this and that, but they're all like, their numbers are higher than mine. So they're trying to press me a little bit here and there. You know, I remember being threatened by, that original fight that I got into the gang. Mm-hmm. His younger cousin was there, and he knew me too. And he's like, yeah, like, I'm going to make my name for myself too. I'm in that other gang. Right. I'm in TS. And so he's like, yeah, you know, like, I'm gonna fucking stab you in the face with the fork and stuff. And like, he's holding the fork ready to do it, and I'm waiting for him to do it. And I'm like gonna hit him with my tray. And so we're just kind of staring at each other, waiting, because guards are walking behind us talking. And thankfully, one of the guards there, he's a bodybuilder, his name is Greg. And Greg had sensed something was happening, and he was like, he came and sat right in between both of us. And I was like, holy shit, man. I was like, this guy just saved my life. Like, I could have got stabbed in the eye right now with that fork. And like, they were waiting. They took me off to the back, and you don't want to look like a bitch to other people. So you're following where you know it's going to happen, right? Like, they're like, let's go to the back table, right? And it's like, well, something's going to happen over here, right? For real. And I knew I was with 2 other youth that I thought, like, again, we've been in jail lots together. I thought they might have my back, you know, they know I can fight. But they were on his side. They were like, oh, we have to do this. This is the gang shit, right? And I'm like, fuck, man. I'm like getting outnumbered. I'm thinking these 2 shouldn't do nothing, right? Like, hopefully they won't. But I'm like, this guy for sure is going to do something, right? This is only his 2nd week here, and he knows who I am, and he's been talking about doing it, right? And I'm like, fuck, he's going to do it. And yeah, he came and interfered, which was super good. I never snitched on him or anything, but like, they were like, what was happening? I was like, I don't know. And they were like, something was going to happen. And I was like, I don't know. They took him off the unit. They sent him to Dojak. I was like, thank God, man. I did my best to be like, not trying to escalate it because I didn't want the kids to be like, oh, he snitched. So let's go after him for being a snitch.
Right.
But like, fortunately, everything kind of worked out. And I'm like, man, this is crazy. And while I was doing my time in Arcadia, I didn't know where my next sentence was going to be. I didn't know where I was going for open custody. Because that was part of my structure was secure 6 months, open custody, 6 months community supervision. And then I didn't know where I was going next, right? And I'm like, do I have to spend it all here in Arcadia? And through that time, though, I was given a lot of opportunities in different ways for like drawing and stuff. Like one of the guards noticed my artwork and really like pushed for that and gave me an opportunity through that. And that was my first commissioned work was in Arcadia. I got to go outside of the facility to do a painting for the Godfrey Dean Art Gallery in Yorkton. That was probably the biggest turning point in that jail.
Yeah, because you were saying that you used to have this artwork, but you would hide it. Oh, yeah. Because there was could be gang. I feel like they could take it from you or whatever. Could be problematic.
Yeah, you'd get room confined or level dropped if they had seen anything that was gang associated. When we write in jail, we have to write in plain, like simple font. Like it has to be the exact like basic. Can't be any cursive, no like actual stylized handwriting. So everybody had to write really rigid and very like systematic in order for us to not be in trouble.
Right.
So yeah, it was tough, and I would just hide my drawings behind my mirror. There was just a little gap there, and I just started stacking them up. But eventually, they did some room searches, found my drawings. I got level dropped. They room confined me, called it gang-related activity, and then they looked at the drawings. Though one of the guards, Jeff, and he was like, "This is artwork. Like he's drawing something here." And then they asked me like, "What does it say?" And I told them it was like my graffiti word. They're like, can you write other words other than the things that are associated with your gang? I'm like, yeah, I can. And they're like, okay, here's your assignment. Then we're going to give you some random words. You pick out one from the dictionary. You pick a word you like, write it out, draw it in graffiti or whatever. And we're going to go see if we can do this for some business or whatever. And then Jeff went out and did that for me. He like started contacting friends at different places. Nothing came of it like that, but the Godfrey Dean Art Gallery heard about it. And then they offered me an opportunity to do a painting. And then that's how that happened.
That's huge.
But it only came from me again reworking my levels after that. So I had to re-earn my levels, which take a couple weeks at a time, so that you don't get no zeros in your level book and you move up. And again, before that room confinement, actually, I should have mentioned that I had held my level 3 and 4 for like months, so I could get a visit. Level? Yeah, so that after level 3, you can get RLs, which is like a reintegration leave into the campsite inside the facility.
Okay.
So you can go out to the trailer and you can spend the night in the trailer with your family and whatnot. And if you had a girlfriend or something too, like they were allowed to come. So obviously, real huge incentive for youth doing time, right? And I was saving it up for my mom to come visit me, and she kept promising she was going to visit, and she never did. And this one particular night, she broke her promise again. I've already been there for like 5-6 months, or 5. I think it was 4 months. But I had already been inside jail for like 6 months in total, right, on remand and everything. And so I was getting pretty lonely, and I called my mom and like confronted her, like, "Where are you? Like, you on your way?" And she's like, "No," and gave me some sad story about some trauma that she's reliving from her past, and she's drunk and I can hear it, and I'm like, fuck off. Like, I'm so pissed and hurt now. I've been like good for nothing. And I got so mad that I just fucking threw the phone off the wall in the unit, and my roommate was actually like on the couch in front of me where the phone's at, and I just threw it across the room, and Dallas was like, oh shit, and like laid down on the floor and knew what was coming next, and everyone's yelling lockdown. And my room's right next to it, so I go to my room and I slam the door as hard as I can. They're giant magnets, and the magnet didn't even clasp. It just banged off the door and it went wide open, but I hadn't noticed it. And one of the guards, Murray, came running in right after me, and I'm running to my side of the room, and I grab Dallas's chair and I throw it behind me against the wall towards the hallway. And I didn't know that Murray was walking in right behind me, and the chair hit the wall. But Murray just about got clipped by it. He had to dodge a fucking chair walking in, not knowing what's going on. I'm spazzing out, crying on the bed. I'm in tears, and I'm like covering my face in my pillow, and I'm screaming into it. And eventually I'm like working myself up, and I'm thinking to myself that I just fucking hate my life. I hate how this goes. Like, I haven't had anybody to come visit me. Nobody cares about me. I'm just like suicidal and everything. I just don't want to live anymore. And Murray comes into that room with that chair, and he comes and plops it on beside me, and he's got it backwards, and he's sitting there with his arms over it, watching me cry. And I'm not even aware that he's here. And I eventually see him, and I'm like, what the fuck are you doing in here? Like, get the fuck out of my room. He's like, just sits there quiet, just letting me cry. And I'm thinking, well, get the hell out, man. Like, leave me alone. And then he like finally opens up and asks me, his like, you know, like, why do you do this shit? And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, fuck, man, my mom bailed on me, this and that. He's like, well, you know, why do you steal? And I'm like, what? Like, why are you asking that right now? You know, I was like, what the fuck you mean? Everyone steals, man. What kind of dumb question is that? He said, I don't steal. And I was like, I don't give a fuck, man. Like, who are you? Like, I don't care. He's like, well, you said everyone steals. I'm like, he's like, I don't steal. And then I'm like, I don't care. He's like, well, he's like, I was like, everyone I know steals. And he's like, and that's the problem. Everyone you know steals. And he's like, and that's like what you're accustomed to. And he's like, but listen, he's like, now you know me, and you know that I don't steal. He's like, so now you know me. And I didn't quite get that at the time, but eventually later on that night, I realized what he was trying to say was that, like, look, there's somebody else in your life now that isn't a part of what you used to be. And life can be pretty good if you like choose to change your perspective on things. And I had this poem on my wall. It was for a drug course because I had realized I was addicted. And it said, I think it was called Thinking for a Change or something, but it said that if you think the way you've always thought, you'll always feel the way you've always felt. And if you feel the way you've always felt, you'll always do the things you've always done. And if you do the things you've always done, you'll always get the things you've always gotten. If there is no change, there is no change. And I remember at that, right in the middle of the last sentence there, if there is no change, there is no change, I wrote a little equal sign and put like A+1, thinking algebraically, like if the equation, if A equals A or A equals 1, if you add anything to that equation, A has to be different, right? Like it has to change.
Changes the outcome.
Exactly. So I'm like, okay, so if I just change any one of those things, if I just choose to like change the way I think, then it changes the way I feel. And if I change the way I feel, then I change the way I do things, right? So I was like, okay, that was a pretty big moment for me without realizing at that time how instrumental that patience was from Murray, and that opportunity to just say those things, because it felt really trivial and like nonsense, like seemed like not at the appropriate time, but it was super valuable to me. And I wish he could know that, but I don't know however to thank him for that. But that was a huge turning point in my life, where that was what led me to the room confinement. That was what led to the room search. That's what Jeff found those drawings from, and that's where it just started opening up for me. So I should have opened with that, but I forgot that part of that detail. And that opened up the doors for my art in a way that wasn't gang related. You know, it was like, okay, now it's an art form. Now it's a focus.
So you saw that there was another avenue instead of just graffiti on walls and gang related. You're like, oh, there's an art gallery that's asking me to do a piece or whatever it was. Okay, there's another avenue, and I have other people who are celebrating that behavior who are not attached to the gang. And we have somebody like Murray who's telling me, he's like, you now know people who think differently than the people that you know.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one behind bars in the same sense. So you're starting to put two and two together, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and that was huge for me, because it made me realize then, okay, when I was living on the east side with my dad, I did have a friend named John and Shane that we skateboarded together. They were pussies. They were not the credible gang kids. I was their protector. I was their, like, these were some nerdy ass kids that were like, Shane was still wearing knee pads, elbow pads, helmet to skateboard at 14. Yeah.
Geek.
But they grew up differently than me, and I gravitated towards them because we skateboarded, plus I felt like I could protect them, which made me feel like some sort of like integral person. And I stood up for them. I remember like one day we got jumped and I stood up for them, and they were like, this guy's like a hero. Even though in my head I'm like, yeah, you're just pussies, you know, like you won't stand up for yourself. I guess I'll do it for you.
Do it for you, yeah.
Yeah, but it made me realize that like I just been telling myself a lie for years and trying to find acceptance in the wrong people, right? Like it's not like they really did anything for me. All they did was encourage all the wrong things, right? Like, and they all just strive for the worst.
And it sounds like, although you were gaining, connection and, getting some of these needs met over here,
Yeah.
a lot of bad shit was happening to you, man.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're getting jumped, you're on the run, you're just like, you're having these drug-fueled maniac, psychotic episodes.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sure that you're starting to think about all of this at this particular time. This seems like a very big turning point.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I wouldn't say I thought about all of it. All I did think about at that time was that I can't trust anybody, not even my own family. If someone says they're going to follow through, like, just take it with a grain of salt until it's done, And
no anticipation, no disappointment.
Yeah, exactly. I just stopped caring about what other people had to say. And that was about that time that made me realize, like, why am I repping this gang that isn't here now? I'm the one standing up for me. All these guys are pressing me. I'm still standing up for me. I'm not being a bitch. I'm still being the person I am at that time. And, I'm also taking on a beef now for the namesake of this gang when they didn't take the same beef for me.
Yeah.
I knew someone had set me up, but I didn't know who at the time, right? But later found out it was Cody and Jesse, but I didn't know at that time, right? Like, in there, I'm like, no, man, like, where were they when I needed them the most? They weren't there. They put on a facade later, but it's like, dude, I could have already been dead twice over before you came to my rescue, right? And I'm like, what the fuck? What's the point of that? Like, because if shit were to pop off, I knew I was the person to be there first. I'm like, many times I was told to go do this or that. Immediately, I jumped to it, didn't wait. I'm like, I was told, like, I go fucking stand up for them, right? Like,
right.
So, but yeah, it just wasn't the same integrity, right? And
it's no longer serving you, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly. And I realized that, like, being away from them was like, I'm still me, man. I can still be who I want to be. I don't need to be them. And one of the things too, one of the best parting notes I remember experiencing is I had this plan for a robbery, and I had thought it out for like a year in and out of jail. I had thought about like how to do this like big heist, right, in my head. And I had it all planned out, and I thought it was a great idea. And I remember sharing it to my higher ups, and we were all like drinking and smoking at this point. And I'm like, guys, I have this plan. I wanted to share it with you guys for a while. Like, I'm excited, thinking this is going to be like a fucking
master plan.
Yeah, I thought they were going to be like, dude, this guy thought it through.
Genius.
Like, he's the shit, right? Like, I tell them it, they all laugh at me, and they go, fucking stupid paint huffer. And I'm like, what? I remember just being fucking mad. I'm like, I'm out. And I just walked away. Still was part of the gang at the time, but I was so mad. I'm like, what the fuck? They just called me a stupid paint huffer and like just dismissed my idea without even like having any other like, backup plan but their dumb ideas of like obvious bullshit is like, this is the way to go. I'm like, you're fucking dumb. So I was like so offended. I was like, man, fuck you. Like, I'm not huffing paint. I do spray paint, but like, fucking bullshit, man. So it was a good catalyst to think about though while I was in jail and like thinking that that's the people I'm defending.
Right.
That they would call me a stupid paint huffer when I have an idea that I think is going to benefit them.
Right. Like, they're not picking up for me. They're shutting down my ideas. I don't see anybody in here doing this time for me.
I'm not getting my higher up ranking. I'm keep being led on that I'm going to move up.
What's the
so
point?
It's the thing that pissed me off was how that goalpost just kept moving. It's like, I was starting to make the ranks quicker and quicker, and I thought, oh, the next one's coming. And it was just a lead-on effect. Oh, man, you're going to be, like, right away, you're going to be this. Like, it's like one more mission, one more this. It's like you're doing more and more and more, and you're like, what the fuck, when's it happening? And then they're like, don't worry about it's happening. It's like, it doesn't look like it, and like, so having that in the back of my mind, it's like, why am I doing this for them when they think of me like that? I'm better off to them where I'm at than I am if I move up. So I was like, that's kind of bullshit. It's not a win-win situation. That's definitely a win-lose situation. And it was for me a big point where I'm like, why would I continue down a path of a win-lose when I can focus on win-win situations, right? Like something that benefits me and someone else, right? Because I'm the kind of guy that I want everyone on my team to win. If I win, I want you to win, like I want you to do good, so I'm going to call you out on your shit. Like, you said you're going to eat good. Like, eat good. Stop being a bitch. You know, quit talking. Like, go lose the weight. I'll cheer for you at 10 pounds, you know, like, whatever the case might be. But it wasn't like that back then, for sure. It was definitely a very win-lose situation on everything, and I hated it.
Yeah. So you get out of, okay, so you do the art gallery thing, then you get released shortly thereafter, or like, were you two like around there? Like,
so I ended up getting sent to Prince Albert Youth Residence for the remaining of my sentence. So go from south to north in Saskatchewan. And I go up to Prince Albert, where I do the remainder of my sentence there at PAYR. And it is a totally different facility. Like, PAYR was like very relaxed, super different than Arcadia. So it's quite funny going from like the most strict facility I've ever been to the most relaxed facility I've ever been to. I'm like, these guys are complaining about this jail. I'm like, we're literally playing pool downstairs. I'm like, we're playing ping pong and pool.
Oh, wow.
And we go to the fucking arcade like every other day.
What? Summer camp?
Yeah, it was like a summer camp. I was like, this is like peanuts. This is the easiest jail time I've ever done. So they were like, yeah, you could have RLs. And I was like, so I can go get a job? They're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, I'm going to get a job then. I'm going to go do that. I'm like, why the fuck would I stay around here all day? And everyone's like, how'd you get a job? I'm like, I went and applied. Like, it's not hard, dude. It's like, you just get a resume, go apply.
Right.
And I did that. And I went and started working. And I was working at first Subway, and then I was working at this place called Randy River in the mall.
Dude, I remember Randy River. That's a throwback.
Yeah, I used to work there, and ended up meeting this girl Brittany, and we started dating there. Not my wife, but a different Brittany, and just I had a girlfriend while I'm in jail. I'm making money. I bought my first car in jail. Like,
what?
I got all this stuff done. You know, I got my license in there and stuff too, and like people are just sitting there wasting time. I'm like, why aren't you doing something?
Yeah, they're doing dead time, and
Yeah,
you're being hella productive.
I'm like, fuck, man. I started getting people going to the gym in the jail. We started like, instead of going to the arcade every time, I'm like, let's go to the rec center, let's work out. Like, we'd do like a mile-long run around Red River. I think it's called Red River. But there's like a park, and it's like right where the facility is. We run through it. They'll just basically follow us in a car, and we just can run all the way through the park. And you know, and I was like, let's do that every morning. Like, and people started liking it, and they started doing that, right? And
so do you think that it was because obviously you're having some thoughts, they aren't very clear, they're giving you a little bit of direction, but what you do have is you have structure. You have this time where you have to be somewhere at a particular time. You have to be held accountable, and you're not around certain associates. You're not using substances at this time. So there's like, were you putting these pieces together of like, because you're getting a car, you're getting a girlfriend, you got a job, you're working out. Things seem to be, you probably feel a lot better about yourself. Are you seeing the correlation between like lifestyle choices and outcomes at this particular time? Or
yeah, I would say so. I mean, definitely started realizing that like life was far better doing what I'm doing now. Like, I mean, I felt like a super big success, and I was the biggest success that facility had ever had for a youth, which I thought was hilarious, because I'm like, it was like, you guys would never make it in Arcadia. Like, there's no way. And I'm like, just coming from that to this, it's like, yeah, it gave me structure at Arcadia, and to the point where I was just like, this is easy, man. Like, it's so easy to be not in trouble, and like, you can go to school, go to work. I just stayed out of the facility all fucking day. I'm like, great, whatever I can do to get out of here. And then they were like, oh man, that's not fair. How come he gets this? And I'm like, because none of you guys are applying yourself at all. You're just here doing your time. Like, it's available for everyone. I remember 2 other youth joined school because of that. Supposedly they were my cousins, which was funny. But yeah, they started going to school, and then like a lot of other kids wanted to start going to school because they're like, now we can get out of jail, right?
Yeah.
But they didn't want to work, which was like the difference. So I'm like, dude, that's like, you can go from like 3 p.m. till like 8 p.m. out of the facility, make money. You got nowhere to spend it. Like, you just cash up, wait to get out, and then you got money.
No brainer.
Yeah,
Sounds like
it was easy, right? So that's what I did, right? And I had 6 months there, and like I said, I bought a car. It was a Chevy Lumina from the res, and it was like $300. My dad knew he could get it running, but like the person was like, oh, it's been sitting there for like years. The steering wheel was literally melted. I like put my hand on it. I can feel my hand indent onto the steering wheel. I was like, oh my God, so hot. And I was like, what the fuck? And it just reeked like ass. But I was like, hell yeah, I'm getting my first car. Yeah.
Yeah.
I pulled up to the facility with it and I hopped out and the guys were like, were you just driving? I was like, yeah, man. They're like, whose car is that? I was like, it's mine. And they're like, no way. I was like, I just bought it today. Showed them the transaction of sale or whatever and the registration. They're like, how the fuck did you do that? I was like, because I got a job, man. I've been saving up my
shit
canteen.
happen. Yeah, we were playing ping pong in the basement and out here making moves.
Yeah, everyone was so focused on spending their money at the arcade. Like, I didn't want to go. I would just be like, no, I'm going to go to work and like did my shit. But yeah, it was good momentum builder for me for sure. Plus, like schooling, I was learning that I wasn't stupid. It was just that I never applied myself. And I was starting to get good grades and seeing like 90s. And I'm like, wow, I'm doing well. I'm actually not stupid at all, right? Of course, I did a lot of modified initially when I was in jail. And then when I got to PAYR and started to go into regular classes and still succeeding, I was like, okay, it's not that it's modified. It's because I'm not an idiot, right? Okay, that's cool. And yeah, and then graduating became a real goal for me. And ended up eventually moving back to Saskatoon and graduating and graduated with high honors, which was like a huge deal for me.
It is a huge deal.
First person to go to university in my family, which was another big deal.
It is a big deal.
Although I didn't last. I just went one semester because that's all I could afford. I didn't get any loans or anything like that. It's just money that I had saved up, and I didn't know a semester was going to cost me like $4,000. I was like, holy shit.
Dude, it's not cheap. School is
actually
mental.
Yeah, and I worked 3 jobs while doing all that stuff too, so it was like not easy at all.
How was moving back to Saskatoon after all of this stuff went down? Because, like you said, it sounds like the stabbing that took place on Canada Day was sort of still unresolved.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you still, like, I don't know how big Saskatoon is, but I'm sure you run into people when you're out places. And did you have any fear, like, okay, I'm actually on like a decent path here, but I'm going back to where all this shit started, and there is some stuff that's like unresolved, like
yeah, I know it was scary, man. It was for sure. Like I went back to Saskatoon because my girlfriend Megan had got kicked out of her place in Prince Albert, and now I was like, oh, I got to go back for her, right? And I came back, and I knew I'd be at risk. But the other thing is, when you start changing your behavior and your outcomes start changing, like it's very easy to find yourself not around that same association. And I didn't have any interest of talking to anyone. I just, like, me and Megan, and then like some friends I had made in school at that time, but otherwise it was like hush hush. I didn't talk. I didn't go to parties. I didn't do none of that shit. I was like just solid, like go to school, go to the gym at lunch, come home right after, do my schoolwork, hang out with Megan. That's it. Nothing else. I did that for years, and I eventually made some other friends that I was able to associate that didn't have anything like that, and they weren't on that path. My friend Jimmy was one of them, and he's a huge part of my life still. And but like just making those different kind of connections where it's like now I'm totally disassociated with that type of lifestyle, that like I don't run into them because I'm too busy doing other positive shit, right? So,
right.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, so I just wanted to ask, like, so that whole war ended as soon as you got released. Like, no one came for you, no one came to talk to you, or I know, like, sometimes with gangs, like, you can't leave.
Yeah.
So did anybody, like, come after you or come looking for you?
That's a good point, actually. So as I mentioned earlier, my sister had tried to protect me by lying about where I'm at. So she actually lied to everyone in my gang, like what she was associated with, but also to like anyone else that knew her from a different way, right? She was like, "Oh, my brother's doing time out in Yorkton or whatever, or Regina," and she just changed the jails whenever they were questioning it. She's like, "I still locked up." He got like 6 years or something. That she tried to like make a big deal out of it, right? So during that time when I came back, it's not like any of that beef stopped, but people expected me not to be around. And plus, I didn't hang around any of that shit anymore at all. I was very secretive. Like, I was like, again, I knew the times when I could and couldn't go places. So I did my grocery shopping right after school. There was a Walmart right there. It was boom, done, gone home. Nobody sees me, right? And I'm like quick and fast about it. Like on my list, I come in, I get it done 15, 20 minutes, I'm gone. I don't browse around. I don't hang out anywhere. I don't take the bus and shit. I had my own car and stuff. And it was just that. It was just like stay focused on your goals and like didn't run into people. However, there was 2 occasions where I did run into them in Saskatoon. That's eventually why I moved out here to Edmonton. So the one time I saw Devin, and Devin was, me and Megan were walking down Broadway, and I ran into Devin, and he was drunk, and I was like, oh shit, Devin's here, like thinking he's going to be like with some of the other guys, right? Like I definitely don't want to be seen right now. And I was with Megan. She didn't know, and Megan was actually drunk too. It was like later in the evening, and we were drinking, and I wasn't too drunk though. I was like still pretty sober, but she had gotten a lot drunk, more drunk than me, and I'm like kind of carrying her around, and then she sees Devin. Devin starts talking to me, and she's like not sure what's happening, but I'm also like telling her while he's answered his cell phone, I'm like, we got to get out of here. Like, we got to go now. She's like, why? Like, he seems nice. I'm like, we got to get the fuck out of here. She's like, okay. And then Devin's like, yo, man. He's like, just chill, bro. I'm not even down anymore. He's like, I dropped. And like, he can sense that I'm trying to flight. And I'm like, oh, bro. I was like, yeah, that sounds good, man. I dapped him up. I was like, but we got a jet. So I was like, see ya, bro. He's like, oh, chill. Like, come back, man. Come back. And he's like, don't be a fucking bitch. And then I'm like, you know, like, oh, shit. Like, he might be, like, setting me up. Because he's on the phone with somebody, too. I don't know what's going on, right? So I'm like, I'm out. And so we take off running. She doesn't know what's happening. I'm like, this is my old gang, right? Like, we got to get out of here. And then we ditch, and we get away from it at that point in time. And I didn't see Devin again for years. And so it was all good. It was like one close encounter. You know, and then years later, I'm in Saskatoon, and me and my wife had just gotten married, and me and Brittany are going to celebrate at my friend John's restaurant where he's the head chef, and he plays in a band. So he's going to play music for us, do a live performance, and he was going to cook us some food. So he's like, come on out of my restaurant. It's a Mexican restaurant over like in a real secluded spot. I go there, and my old gang's right there. Like, they're all of them, all the brothers, because the 3 brothers, Dante, Noel, and Miguel, are all brothers. And they have their little family started. Like, Noel has a little family now, and he's got a little daughter, and they're out in the front of the lobby, but you can't see them when you come into the building. And so when I got there, and I'm holding Brittany's hand, and this is like basically our wedding night was that night, and we're still dressed up, like we're looking pretty good. It's like you know, come walking up to the door, and I see them, and they all see me, and I'm like, oh fuck, man. I'm like, my facial appearance has changed a lot. I mean, not shaved head anymore. I got longer hair at this point in time, and you know, I look a little different, I guess, right? But I know that they recognize me, and I'm like, fuck. And I look at all of them, and I'm like, put my head down. As soon as I saw them, like, lock eyes, I put my head down, open the door, let my wife in. She walks in. She doesn't know who these people are. She doesn't know what just happened. We walk through the door, the next set of doors, and I get in there, and I tell Brittany right away, I'm like, we got to run through the back. She's like, why? I was like, that was Dante, Miguel, and Noel. She's like, who's that? I was like, those are all my higher ups. Like, they know who I am. They think I'm in jail right now. Like, this is not good. And they don't know what I'm driving, so I'm obviously like a block or 2 away, which is good enough distance to run away to. But we're trying to get out of the fucking building, and I can't. I'm like asking the staff, I'm like, where's your back door? Where's your exit? And like, you can't exit. You'll set off the alarm. I'm like, I need to get out some back way right now. She's like, you can only go through the front. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me? I'm like, oh my God, where's John? Tell John. Then we need to get out through the back. And then they're like, oh, John's not here yet. And I'm like, fuck sakes, man. I'm like, so I'm panicking. I'm like trying to go out through the front door again, and they're already walking in, and they're like watching me now. They're glaring me down, fully aware of who I am. And Noel's still outside, but Dante and Miguel have already come in, and Dante held the door open for Brittany. And again, I just like kept my head down, hoping he didn't know me. But Miguel had saw me because I didn't know he walked in first, and he was like, took off his glasses, watched me, and he like was getting close to me, and I'm like just moving along, and I'm like, fuck, man. And then when I got outside, Noel was there. He said something to me, but I just kept walking, and then I don't know what they were gonna do, but as soon as I got up about 10, 15 feet, I was like, I don't give a fuck if they watch me run away. So I ran away with her. We hopped in the car, and she's like running in her high heels, and I just fucking hopped into my car, which sped off. I was like, that's it. I'm moving out of this fucking city.
Yeah.
I was like, we're done living here. And she's like, why? I was like, that was all my gang, man. I was like
you can't be having that constantly, man. Everywhere you go, just that possibility of conflict, man, would just eat at you, dude. And it does. Like
100%.
in my experience of having beef with people, I lived in a small city, and there was one point where like I was very isolated from people. I was kind of doing what you were doing, keeping it low key.
Yeah.
Dude, I would hate walking the streets anywhere I would go. I'm like, someone could pull up on me right now.
Yeah.
There's only so many Walmarts, so many restaurants, so many streets. It's like there's a good chance eventually I'm going to run into someone, and then what's going to happen then? The gym would be a place. I'd go to the gym a lot, and I'd be like, oh, shit, there's so-and-so. Like, what's about to happen? Like, that eats at you, man, all the time. The paranoia.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
It's no way to live at all.
Yeah. And that's the irony here. We work with, obviously, youth in the gangs and stuff, and I'm like, I still feel safe. I'm like, man, I go to like neighborhoods that are just straight up not in good shape. Like we see it all the time, and I'm like, I'm not even worried about it. It's like totally different because it's like none of these gang members know me here. And for the most part, they're people, and you talk to them like people. They'll have respect for you as long as you're not being disrespectful to them. 100%. They're not going to try to start shit. Some might if they're like intoxicated and shit, but otherwise, man, you just keep it real and like you know, just don't be a bitch. You know, don't be an ass either, right? Yeah, you just whatever, man. Which is funny because like you go down 118th Ave or whatever, you're like in the hood and you're like, to me, I'm not afraid of it at all. But Saskatoon, totally different story. I'm like everywhere I go, I'm like on edge. Yeah, you know. So,
damn. Okay, so you moved to Edmonton. And are you doing your art at all at this point anywhere?
I mean, I'm like doing graffiti on trains. This is where I'm keeping a real low profile, just solo missions myself. Sort of in and out of some graffiti crews like WB, Wright Brothers. And like I'm in these crews and whatnot. We paint trains, but for the most part, I'm just keeping it on my own. I'm just doing my own missions.
And how are you making money to facilitate these moves? I know moving isn't easy, man. You need like a bit of money to do that. You got a wife now at this point.
Yeah, and I'm working out at the BHP mine, so I'm actually a security night shift supervisor. So I work nights, and I'm the supervisor, so I'm getting paid a little bit better. Being that I'm treaty 2, I'm tax free with my company. They're treaty owned, so it was a really good gig for me, making like 70K a year, just tax free, which is pretty big money, right? And I did that for about 3-4 years before I moved out here, and that facilitated the move. And then I was doing maintenance when I moved to Edmonton, working for apartment complexes in the ghetto here. I didn't know what it was going to be like, but yeah, they were real slumlord apartments all along, you know, the hood areas, and but it's something I had previous experience doing maintenance work for Boardwalk, and then kind of got back into that after the supervisory position. But definitely regretted quitting that job because I just ended up working with Avenue Living here, and then ended up quitting that job because they were just so immorally like irresponsible and just horrible company. And I was like, I can't stand for that. That's not me.
Dude, you got to tell that story about when you walked into you got a call or something. You told me, you got to tell me that story, because that story is, when you told me that, it sounds like a documentary or something.
Yeah, it sounds like a freaking horror movie, really. And I mean, like, so I worked maintenance, and this is April 1st, 2017, I believe, or maybe 2018. No, it's 2017, yeah. And so it's April Fool's, and my friends and I, like me and my friend Taylor, we had made a lot of jokes. We used to stay up like later. We would work later in the evening often, and blah blah blah. And he had made a bunch of practical jokes for April Fool's that he was excited about. Anyways, I'm on call, and I go do this on-call emergency at an apartment called Delton, and it's or Shannon. It's in Delton area in 118, and I go there, and it's for an emergency flood, and I'm like, oh shit, I gotta go to this apartment and go turn off the water because security called me and says everything's flooding in the basement. It's like 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. I come running out there across the city, get there, come find out where the water's rushing from. I see it's in a unit that I had worked on earlier that day, and I was like, dude, just on day shift I fucking fixed the lock on this. Somebody broke in, and I just put the lock on today. I'm like, okay, it's already off. Like someone broke into this unit. I could feel on the door it's hot, and I'm like, it's in this unit that the flood's happening from. So I gotta go shut off the water for the building, and then I'm like shutting the water off for the building. I come back into the unit. I open the door to this unit, and it just rushes water out. And I look straight ahead, and I see on the window in the steam it says "Help me," and it's written, and it's like drippy. And as I'm like there trying to turn on the light, nothing's turning on. I look in front of me, and a glass doll is like floating right by my feet, coming out the door. And I'm like, holy fuck, this is spooky as shit. And I'm like, turn on my flashlight, like look in the kitchen, nothing's there. I can hear the water's rushing in the back room. Okay, burst pipe. All right, let's go. I start walking in, and I come in, and there's a bathroom to my left. And I look in the bathroom, and it looks like blood. It just shot up the wall, like someone got their head blown off. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is insane. And I'm like, oh no, please don't be the room that's boarded up where this person is. Or like thinking, where is this water coming from? I go into the room, and sure enough, there's this person laying face down in the water, dead, drowned, but there's blood around his chest. And it's right in the room where the windows were boarded up earlier that day. So I'm thinking I just fucking witnessed a homicide, like somebody got murdered. Their body got dumped right here. They did it in the room with the boarded up because they saw it was available. I'm like, oh fuck, man, this is a gang house. Like this is a gang apartment. There's all red alert in here, right? And I'm like, oh my god. So this guy's dead beyond resuscitation. I can tell he's been rigor mortis. Like he's completely like stiff and drowned. There's no way I can CPR him. And I come running out, run right to my car and like lay down, and I'm like calling the police and stuff. I'm like, I just found a dead body over here at this address, and I'm like, you know, he looks like he's been murdered because his hands were swollen like from fighting. There's blood around his chest. I wasn't sure if he got stabbed, but I don't know where the blood actually came from, but you could see it was dried on the floor right around him. And he was ass naked. He was completely naked. And I'm like, holy fuck, man. I'm like calling the police, and they're like, okay, yeah, we'll send people out. And then they did. And I'm calling my boss now thinking like, I don't know, I got to report this, right? They thought I was joking the whole time. Like they actually like laughed at me and said, okay, funny, like good night. And then hung up.
Because this was April Fool's Day.
This was April Fool's, right? Like that, the morning of is like 3-4 in the morning now. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck? So I have to like call the director of operations. And then he thought I was joking too. I was like, dude, I'm telling you the truth. The police are already on the way. Like, there's already like an ambulance here. They're like, oh, okay. They're like, where are you at? I'm like, I'm over here. They're like, okay, we'll have to come over. And then like only that guy showed up, and my manager never showed up because he thought I was joking. I'm like, dude, I would never joke
worst
about
day
something.
to call anybody.
And because it was on shift, I had to work through all of that. I didn't get time off. They didn't give me like a bereavement moment or anything. They just had me working 24/7. Like I was still fixing locks and shit, still dealing with the smell of that guy's body on my feet and stuff. And like, it was disgusting, man. And like, I still had to work all day and night, and I'm like fucked up tired. And I like had no patience too. I'm like trying to fix a front door, I remember, and I'm like losing my patience with the keys. I'm like, fuck.
Did you find out what happened to this guy? Because like he was naked, but also there was "help me" on the window. So like,
yeah. So actually, while I waited for the coroner to come and like everyone to come and deal with the body, they told me that he died from a fentanyl overdose, and that what I saw on the wall wasn't blood, but it was shit. The guy's internal temperature goes so high that they literally like melt their internals, and he had to like just blow it all out. And so he actually like just shit all up the wall, and that was just all feces. And he did write "help me" on the window, which they thought was creepy too. They're like, that is creepy as shit, right? Like, and I explained to them like, he looks like he was like maybe in a fight or murdered. And they're like, well, your internal temperature rises so high that happens where you like blow out all your insides, but then your core temperature drops so dramatically that he was actually in hypothermia without realizing it. And so when he realized he was cold, he went to the pipe to turn up the heat, and because it had the heat off initially because he was so hot, him turning it back on catches an air bubble, and that causes those pipes to burst, especially when it's extremely cold like it was that day. It was like still -20 at night, right? And so it burst the pipe, and fucking water's rushing there. He must have had a heart attack, fell on the floor. Water just drowned him eventually too. Like it just double killed him.
Jeez, what a dramatic
yeah,
scene.
so it looked like it was something else, and they just told me he was a well-known street person who he likely was just in a fight earlier in the day. That's probably why the knuckles were all swollen. They're like, we know of him. He's been around a long time, so he finally died, right? And I found him. So
what a scene to walk into and then be expected the next day. Okay, Jordan, when you're ready, can you go change these locks for us, please?
yeah, and it was wild too, because like I actually was on the phone with HR. This girl Sam, she was like, no, like you should be home. Like you need a chance to decompress from this. She vouched for me to go home, because that very same night, like maybe 2 hours after I went home, I handed off my phone to another worker. He went to do the next on-call emergency, and somebody fell, an old lady fell and hit her head on the toilet and broke the toilet and cut open her head and was nearly dying. And her blood, obviously with water, rushed all the way outside into the hallway, and people are seeing all this blood in cracked towers, right? Like the buildings right down on 118. And he sees this, and I'm like, dude, that would have happened to me the same fucking day on call. I was like, God, man. I was like, this job is so stupid.
Not worth.
I ended up quitting over an asbestos issue with them and stuff, because I'm like, you're making us work with asbestos and you're not protecting us. I was like, I'm out. I'm like, this is all way too dangerous, man. This is a stupid job.
So the whole time was like, I'm sure this is not what you wanted to be doing or what you envisioned yourself doing long term, and that maybe art in the background was something you wanted to pursue full time. Like, when did that start becoming like a real source of income to go full time? I mean, you've done a lot of huge projects over the years, but they don't just fall into your laps. So like, what happened after that?
So this is in 2017. So after I quit this job, I'm about to have my firstborn son. Callum's about to be born. This is April that happened. I quit, I think, April 15th. And I quit my job thinking I was going to find another job right away. Didn't happen. Searched around, couldn't find any employment. Really sucked. And I'm panicking because my son's about to be born, and I have a car payment, and I got places to live. I have to pay for rent, and I got no job now, and I'm like burning through my savings quick. A friend of mine, Evan, big shout out to him, because he had a project lined up for his art career that he said no because they just wouldn't meet his price, which was higher. And he's like, dude, listen, I don't want this to just go to anyone here. Like, I'd rather you take it on, because now that I know you live here in Edmonton, I think you're a great artist. He's like, I think you can handle this job. Just don't do it for less than $2,000. And I was like, $2,000? Like, fuck, I've never made $2K on a painting yet.
Cha-ching.
Yeah, so I'd done a lot of little jobs for like a couple $100 for years, and mostly just painted for myself, and obviously on the trains and whatnot. So I was like, this is a good chance for me to like get my name out there for real, like, and make some money. I'm like, sure, man. I was like, yeah, I'll do the job. I remember just like failing that job quite badly, to the point where I even misspelt the word.
Oh, no.
I was supposed to be amateur, and I spelt it Amature.
You spelled it like in French.
Yeah, I spelled it like a true amateur, that's for sure. Yeah,
that's ironic.
And it was for this place called Fit to Fight Boxing, and I did a pretty good job on the rest of the painting. It's just that I got caught up in the little signatures of like what they wanted, like amateur boxing, professional boxing, and they had MMA as well as part of the gym or something like that. They wanted me to write those things, and that's where I screwed up. And then I was like, it's like right on the middle of the flames that I wrote it, so like I can't just easily fix that word. I was like, I have to paint all those flames again. I don't got any more paint. And it's like special order paint. It's not like locally available. So I'm like, if you could wait, I could fix it. That place ended up going under a couple of months later, so it didn't matter. But they were like, you know what? I don't think anyone cares. They're like, honestly, that's a better way to spell amateur. Anyways, I was like, all right.
Oh, you got lucky there.
I got real lucky, but lots of people saw it on 149th Street, and it really picked up for me. And just fortunately, I had the idea to like print off a bunch of business cards with my name and number on it. Just gave it out to everyone that asked. Nothing really came of it initially, but I was inspired. I was like, $2,000 for this. I was like, man, if I could just make 2 of these a month, that's like replacing my income almost, right? And just like straight up cash or whatever. So I was inspired. I was like, I could become an artist, and I'm just going to do this for a little bit until I get into Edmonton Fire Rescue, which is my whole reason to move to Edmonton, was that I was pursuing fire rescue. I had my EMR, I had all my certificates and my license and everything. Like I could get on, and so I moved to Edmonton and do a ride along and such. And I knew all the training, and I was ready to go forward with doing that. But in the meantime, I was like, okay, well, if I just do this couple art gigs in the meantime until I get on with the fire department, this will be a great source of income. Let's just do that. And so I ended up blowing up pretty good on my first major piece, which was a Rick and Morty, a mural that I did over 3 days. There was the Rust Magic Art Festival happening, and there was big name graffiti writers from all around the world that I knew and I had really admired. So I was like trying to catch some of their attention. And so I was like, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down the legal wall. I'm going to start painting this one piece by myself. And actually another friend came along to help just bring the paint and shit. And we started painting day one, and I did like Rick and Morty. And I was thinking I was just going to do like the pictures of Rick and Morty, like this one segment, right? Didn't really have full plan or anything going on in my head. I just started painting because I'm like, season 2 is coming out. I don't know if anyone even knows this cartoon, but like I liked it. Me and my roommates, we used to watch it. So I was like, man, I'm going to paint this show. It's cool. I start painting it, and I'm like almost done day one. And these big time graffiti writers from like LA, Chicago, and New York are coming by, and they stop and they give me dap. They like pounding it, and they're like, hey bro, like that looks sick, like good job. And they're like, what do you write? And I tell them, and then I didn't want to ask them what they write, but I could tell they were pretty important because there's like drones following them, and they're like have camera crew, and I'm like, oh shit, like ask Buddy, I'm like, hey Chris, go ask who that is. And he comes running back excited. He's like, bro, that's a Muse 126, and that's Merlot, that's this and that. I'm like, oh fuck, they just like gave me props. I'm like, that's huge. So I'm like looking at my painting now. I'm like, now I gotta do way more because like this is not enough. Like those guys are painting on the wall over there, and I'm like, now I gotta come back and like make this way fucking better. And so I did the next 3 days, came and made like a really big production for myself and did it all on my own. And it was like at least 40 feet wide and had 2 scenes of Rick and Morty and then like some other character shit in the middle. And like, yeah, I just busted that out on my own dollar. And then I just made a website for Graffiti Salad. And I put that website name on there the last day. Some guy walked by, happened to just like, oh, this is amazing. He posted on Reddit. It just goes viral, and I had no idea. And they thought the guy who posted it was the artist, and they're like, you're amazing, dude, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And then the guy was at least humble enough to be like, no, he's like, that's not me. He's like, the artist is the guy, like this website. He's like, I don't know who he is, but he did a fucking great job. And I found this because it's like now going around on all the social medias for like the local radio stations. Oh, my wife's like, that's your painting. And I'm like, oh shit. And I'm like looking at it, it's got like 20,000 likes and stuff, and it's getting a lot of clout. And I'm like, holy crap. And I was like, thank God I wrote my website there, because that guy related it back. And like my website analytics was just insane that day. Like my website always says that I'm down in numbers like every day. It's
Ever
like,
since then.
Yeah, he's like, your reach is like minus 500%. It's like, yeah, I bet, because it's like still
after that mega
day one of 17,000 views a day. Yeah, exactly. So my analytics are hilarious because I just never can trust them. But
That's
it's like,
right.
yeah. And that was a huge moment for me because I only had like 5 other paintings on that website, and then that one, and it like really took off, and it was good timing. And then it led to my first big painting for a Thunder Valley towing, and I did like a semi-trailer. It was 53 feet wide. Did both sides. Did it in a week. Just did some graffiti font and whatnot. But it was a lot of work, and it was my first time getting paid like 10 grand for something like that. And I remember thinking, man, I can make it. You know, like I was taking odd jobs.
A lot of confidence.
Yeah, and I was like, you know what, I can do this. Put all that money on a basement suite for my wife and my son. And yeah, I was like, just remember finally getting out of that trailer that I was living at my mother-in-law's all the summer since I quit my job. We're literally living in a trailer with my newborn son and just roughing it and looking like a complete failure. Like I have to sell my cars and stuff like that, and just looking like I can't even take care of my family. And here I am, oh, I'm going to live my dream of an artist until I become a firefighter, right? And they're like, you're fucking stupid.
You're
like,
an
you need
idiot.
to go work. And like
Go
I had
get a
they
job.
got me a job with kitchen contracting that they put their neck out there for me, and I worked there for like a week, and I just couldn't handle it. I was like, you guys are doing nothing and expecting to get paid a fuckload of money. I'm like, I'm out. I'm like, I'll go do this thing where I'm actually working and making something of myself. And that's what I did, but I sat around for months on end, not really doing anything, thinking that the jobs were just going to come to me because I had one viral painting. And then I realized that like I'm doing nothing with my life, and I'm like, this is going to fail real quick if I don't get off my ass and start doing something. So I started putting in 50 minutes a day. I just realized that like, you know, the average office employee is only productive 3 hours out of an 8-hour day. So I'm like, okay, so if I can just find a way to like be productive for at least 3 hours a day, I'm as productive as an average office employee. So I decided I would start putting in like 50 minutes a day to do something, and just like started with drawing. I'm going to draw for 50 minutes. I'm going to read for 50 minutes. I'm going to read, or I'm going to do some exercise for at least 50 minutes. I'm going to do this, and that, and I'm going to move forward with something, even if it's a little bit. And it started building a lot of momentum for me, and it really got me more creative and more focused. And when I started doing that, it really started opening doors in places I didn't think would come out. And I just kept moving forward with it like that, and like these little jobs turned into bigger jobs, and the next, you know, I've been doing it for 8 years, you know, and yeah, it was tough first few years making no money, but yeah, when some of my skills got way better after I developed myself and put in the work, yeah, now I'm well known for my portraits and stuff, which at the time when I started, I couldn't do a portrait. You know, I was intimidated by it, but now I'm good. I'm doing really well with those.
Yeah, the first day I actually met you, it was at like this little wellness retreat thing. Yeah. And you were like literally like spray painting this magpie, which is like an infamous bird in Edmonton. Yeah. And it's like incredible. And you're just like, this is not even, I'm just like fucking around basically. Yeah. And that was my first introduction. I was like, oh, this dude's a serious artist. Because I don't know what it's like for anybody else. I'll speak just for myself. Growing up, when you hear graffiti artists, you don't think murals and businesses and the scale at which you can create and advertise and market. You think tags on the 7-Eleven that say Jordan 911, you know, or something like that. Yeah. So to actually see its scale to something like that and translate is incredible, man. Yeah. And like you've had projects, like you said, your first one there that's really made a little bit of dough, $2,000. Now you've had projects that make over 6 figures, which is like mind blowing. And you know, going back to that daily practice of putting in effort and not just expecting something to come to you. Yep. But actually going out there and handing out business cards and canvassing these businesses to say, hey, this is what I do, this is what I can offer. And I mean, I don't know if you want to talk about some of your biggest projects or some things that you've done. I'll put up like a link to your website and also some images here so people could see. But like you've done a gymnasium with, you know, NBA players, WNBA players. It looks like photograph. You do this with spray paint. It blows my mind. I don't even know how you can do that. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, for me with the spray paint, it's just that it's been the medium that I've always chosen that like keeps it real for me. It's part of my identity. It's what I grew up doing. It's what I enjoy doing. It's definitely not the most useful tool to do certain murals, especially detailed work. But the work that I do with it has so much more meaning for what it is, because you're like using a fucking baseball bat to like carve out an amazing piece of art. Literally. Right? It's like a lot of pushing and pulling where you're throwing paint overboard. If you watch the process, it looks like a huge mess. And then I start cutting the edges and everyone's like, oh shit, like now it looks like something. It's like, yeah, it's a big process. It takes a lot of like belief in the process to keep it under wraps, because you can easily get lost in a couple mistakes and you're like, oh shit, I gotta fix that. But like, oh, let's ignore it for the next 20-30 minutes until I get all the layering in, and then I can go to that mistake and fix it. But yeah, it's just a process, and it's like it's a dance for me. Like, I really enjoy using my body to do the painting. I mean, I do airbrushing as well, but the airbrushing is so static, and it's just 2 hands, and it's like, it's just a finesse thing. it's like, yeah, the tool makes sense that it would do that, but like using a can of spray paint is chunky, it's big, it's bold, it's spitty, it fucking doesn't work all the time. It can at any moment just start sputtering, which can create either havoc or create an actual perfect mess. Like there's times where like a cap will sputter, but that sputter created the right texture for something. You're like, don't touch it. You're like, that's staying exactly that way now because that worked out for me, and now I gotta just like fix around it.
Right.
But like, it's nice to use some medium that really like connects to people because it gives a lot more of a raw emotion to what it is. It's like there's more intention behind a mural painted with spray paint than there is when it's painted with a airbrush. Both look good. Like both can have their unique aspects where they look fantastic. But when you see the character flaws of spray paint, you're connected more with it for it being so rudimentary, like so rough, and seeing the spits make you realize like, oh wow, this is not like perfect. But nothing is. But when you like take a big step back, you realize like how clean that is. And it's like, wow, man, when you get right up close, you see how fuzzy or like spitty it is. It's not perfect edges or anything. Airbrush, I highly expect perfect edges because you're up close. You're right there. You got the tool that makes perfect cuts, but spray paint is not that. You're using a lot of shape and technique and color theory to create it, and you have to have that color for every can, right? So there's a lot different use with it. Whereas airbrush, you just add a little black, add a little of this color, add a little of that, tint it the way you want it, perfect, boom, any color at your fingertips. Spray paint, whatever's in the can, that's it. So you got to know your color theory, you got to know how to blend, you need to know how like this color to that color is going to transition, how are you going to tint it and stuff like that, and like also can control, like how are you going to spray it in a way that creates the effect you need. And all those things are years of experience that I've gained where, you know, I can do something fairly detailed in like a short amount of time, right? Where people would be like, how did that only take you 4 hours? I'm like, it's easy. You know, I think that magpie in total was 6 hours with the second day where I just spent a couple hours putting detail in.
Yeah.
And like, but the thing is, that was a small portrait. You make that 10 times bigger. I could do
put that on the side of a building.
But yeah, and I could do that faster if it was bigger. And that's the thing people don't really understand. I'm like, it's easier bigger than it is that small. The smaller is.
Well, yeah, I guess if you're using spray paint, like you said, because it comes out so big that in order to go small, that would be easier to have. Yeah.
Airbrushing wise, that would be like the perfect amount.
That's true.
Like, you know, easy. But spray paint wise, it's definitely difficult.
Damn, man, to just hear your trajectory about that 7-Eleven to like to you know, writing and hiding the stuff in your cell to then on the other side, like I think about it all the time, and I'm like, man, that's an incredible and inspiring story. And I think that, you know, it proves that consistency and focus and discipline for anybody of any background. You just described growing up, dude. You had every reason to be a victim and say, of course, I'm not going to make it. Look what happened to me. Look what happened to me. I'm a failure. I come from this. I experienced that. I'm not going to be able to do anything. Yeah. And then people, you know, of course. Yeah, of course he's not going to be able to amount to anything. Look what he's been through. Is it an excuse? Right? But instead, you flip that narrative, man. You said, no. Despite my circumstances, despite all that, I know that if I just put in the time and the effort, man, and I go out there and I try to chase it, you know, it will pay off. And it did. You're living proof of that. And I think that's a message that a lot of people need to hear, man, because it's so easy to just cop out, give up.
It's also so easy to just do the things you've always done and think the way you've always thought, right? Like it's easy to go back to what we default to and what we know is comfortable and what we know we'll get. And one of the things that I found through my art career, which has really developed me as a person, is knowing that the jobs aren't just going to come to you because you want them. It's not enough. It doesn't matter if you're talented either. You're still not just going to get any job you want because you think you are. What you do get, though, is you get opportunities to make something of yourself, even though in spite of how it looks is actually for your benefit. So like, I don't go out and advertise. You mentioned that maybe like handing out cards. I handed out cards in the beginning, didn't really produce a whole lot, and I was spending a lot of money on like the traditional advertising way, but I'm doing untraditional work. And I found that what was best for my career was actually just putting in the work more often, and then just starting to let my work speak for itself. And I've really come to the point where I believe that who you are speaks so loudly that I can't hear you, so that when I go and have an opportunity to present myself in front of somebody, I don't need to brag. I don't need to showcase all my past work. If they found me, they already know that I'm good. But when they see me and they see how I carry myself from day to day, or how I carry myself in conversation or in person, they can extrude that information from me and see that like, this is the guy that I could trust because he's done something. Like he's putting in the work. It's like it means more when they see somebody involved in the process rather than the outcomes. It's like, I'm a very process driven person, and I know sometimes my outcomes look opposite. I could, fucking look like I'm an idiot with this and this and that. Or like, oh, you've never done that before? No, I haven't. I don't know anything about that. I just know that I'm about the process. And when it comes to painting, that's my moment where I reflect on life in general. That's the way I like handle my biggest, deepest problems. And I feel like I always resolve everything through a painting, and I connect with my paintings for somebody. So whenever I'm doing a commission work for a client, I'm thinking about where they are in their mind with what they want from this. Like, what are they trying to achieve from that? What are they experiencing that I can inject myself and be a part of that? Like if they're going through some trouble and this and that with like a client or whatever, they're like, oh, the business isn't open yet. I can relate to the feeling of anxiety they might have about not making it. I can reassure them by painting with the intention in mind that you'll make it through. And I'm going to do this painting a little extra for you because I want you to know that I'm here to help you, or I'm here for your benefit, not just for me to get paid. Like, it's not a self-driven focus. I'm not here just for myself financially. I'm here for your well-being. And I hope that when I create this work for you, it inspires you, it motivates you, it makes you feel connected, it makes you feel like you gave to the community. And I hope that it drives a community behind it. And I hope that it makes you feel something. And like, that's the way I produce art now, where I used to do it for myself entirely. I feel upset, so I'm going to take and do whatever I want. And I used to use my own emotions in the way that, listen to me, and I would just do what I wanted. But now I'm listening to other people, and I'm creating from that place for them. And it's tough for me if I run into a client that doesn't have a connection with me, because then I'm painting a process without having a process, and there's no why. And if there's no why, like, I have no real connection with it. And sure, the artwork might come out just fine because I know how to do the process, but it loses its connection, it loses its meaning to it. And sometimes clients will ask me, how come you didn't sign it? I'm like, because I didn't connect to it. I just made it for you. It's like, there's your thing. It looks like what you asked me for, right?
Right.
And so it's like, yeah, but it didn't have a meaning, didn't have a connection. I didn't feel inspired to create for you. I didn't make something for you that I'm proud of. It's just like, I made the thing you asked for,
And that could be, I would assume, draining
yeah,
for somebody who is so connected to the passion of creating.
Yeah.
And especially for uniting and helping somebody else feel that as well.
Yeah.
To have just like this soulless advertisement.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll slow anybody down. The momentum will get blown out the back too quick, right?
Yeah, and absolutely. And like, that's like, my best works have been works that have been meaningful with a story. But I also feel like those who have invested in my work with money, but also with their time and their kind words and support. Like, some of my favorite paintings are out in Red Lake, Ontario with my friend Nathan. And, I did a big portrait of his face, and
dude, sick.
Yeah, everyone would
So
think
sick.
that like, that guy's egotistical. I pushed him to let me paint his face, and he's like, why do you want to paint my face? I'm like, because you have character in you
100%.
that needs to be shown to the world, where I can do that because I connect with you. And I want to make sure that if I do a portrait of your face, it's going to look fucking dope. It's going to look really good.
Yeah.
And it was one of my favorite paintings still. And it's like that whole painting was him pushing me to create for myself, but like I can't. And I told him, everything here is for you, man. Like, but I'm making it from the place that like I know I can. Like, I'll do what I think is dope, but I'm also going to push myself to do what I think is good in you, and I'm trying to showcase that. I'm trying to connect that painting to who he is. And that's what opens the doors for people. People are like, wow, they really feel inspired about it. And if they could talk to me about it, I explain that to them. And the thing about it is, too, we have other paintings in his shop and stuff that some of them just don't make sense because there was no connection at that time, right? And it's like, that's where it becomes meaningless to me. It's like, yeah, we did this painting in your other facility, and we recreated it here. But the one I originally painted was like the connection. It was like there was a drive for it. This one is just the recreation, so it doesn't have the same meaning.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, it looks just as good, if not better, but it doesn't mean nearly as much to me. I'm not excited about it as I was the first time.
Sure.
Right? Because it didn't go through a different process. It went through a different process stream, right?
Yeah, I showed my barber I was telling him that you were going to come on the podcast. I was like, dude, he's an incredible artist. And I started showing him your work. And that was one I'm like, look at this. And he's like, that's not a picture. He's like, whoa. He was like blown away by that one. And I'll put it up so people could see it. But it's, yeah, it was really cool. And you're right. The guy got like a really distinctive features. He looks like a character.
Oh, and the way he talks too is just like unmistakably him.
Yeah.
Very Ontario, Northern Ontario accent. And just like, he's a funny guy.
Cool. So what's next for you, man? Like, you're in this place now where art's going well, I would assume. And you also, we work together. We mentor youth that have been through similar circumstances growing up as you and I, or maybe not, but we can relate in a way, or we could try to pass down some stuff that worked for us, right? And hope that some of it sticks.
Yeah.
We do that a lot. But I know that, the art is very much, for you, the most important, or not the most important, but like it's going to be a big focus for you moving forward. So what can people expect? How can they connect with you? And
well, people can connect with me for sure through my website. That's the number one way to get a hold of me, or Instagram. All my social medias are connected through my website. There's little tabs there. You can see the icon. Just click on it. That's where I'm at. Pretty much everything's at Graffiti Salad. So not hard to find me there. And yeah, like we work together with the youth, and I think that's super important that we connect to our next generation and help steer them, because they're eventually going to be the leaders of our world, and they're going to make the choices that we need them to make. Hopefully, if we don't guide them and plant those seeds now, they could really be our demise too, right? Like, we could live in a world where we really hate it. And it's our responsibility in this generation to feed that next generation. We have a lot of knowledge that they don't, and they have it harder than anyone else. And it's unfortunate the circumstances they've been dealt. And yeah, it's super important to me. I've been doing that work for a few years now, on my own initiative while I'm doing my art. But there comes a point where I've realized that with everything that I do personally, as a husband and a father, and as a bodybuilder, an amateur bodybuilder, competing and doing youth work, and also creating art for clients and stuff, it's all of it takes everything from me.
It's a lot. Yeah. I don't know how you can. I don't know how you do it some days. I say to Mariah, I'm like, dude, Jordan he's got his hand in a lot of different pockets right now, and I'm not sure how he manages it all at all. Yeah,
it's overwhelming. I've come to the point realizing that I'm just emotionally taxed. Like, I don't have the brain capacity anymore to even create art where I feel connected, because I'm emotionally like so worn out from experiencing these traumas from these youth that I can't deal with. Like, I'm there for them as support, but hearing the things they go through, it's difficult to process.
Rough, and
you and I have a youth that obviously I feel for her, and it makes me right now feel that like I've done nothing for her, and it's just like,
tough,
hurts.
man. It's tough. Some days, most days, you feel helpless.
Yeah.
And it's tough to reconcile. You're like watching this go down, but there's not much you can do. You can't just rescue absolutely everybody. And what would that even look like? Sometimes all you can do is just give somebody a stress-free interaction. That's taking them out the food. If that's treating them nice, sometimes that's enough in the moment. But it's very hard when you go home to shut that off. I found myself thinking about, I mean, I've worked with youth for years now. There's still people I think about like, damn, what happened to them? Or can't believe this happened to them. And I have to like stop myself and say, okay, I have to allow myself to enjoy time with my girlfriend or family or whatever it is. I can't be consumed by everybody else's, because there's a lot of suffering out there, and it's very hard to move forward if you're constantly thinking about it.
Yeah, and I've come to the conclusion that I think the best use of my time would be going back to my career as an artist, focusing on how to connect that community of youth, and also just trauma, just trying to help people see trauma in a different way, where it like also says that like, I'm here, and like I've been there, I've seen you, I hear you. And it's something that I feel like in general, when you look at street art, you don't see difficult imageries. You don't see people speaking up about injustice in a lot of ways. Like a lot of the youth we work with, they're just totally like 50 supports, but like nobody's eliminating the drug addictions. So nobody's eliminating this, and that, or like nobody's focusing on the neglect that that child is constantly facing, you know, like it's like, yeah, no wonder they're going to go down that path. Like there's nothing more exciting than meth or, you know, this and that drug, right? So it's like you're fighting an uphill battle, and for me, it's emotionally taxing, but I also want them to know that I'm there for them, and like the only way I can really show them is by putting in the work and showing them like with a physical mural or painting, and I don't think that's going to be received well by the large masses. I think people will probably not appreciate me putting it in their face, but I also feel like it's beyond more important than what you get paid for. It's more like focus on this for a bit, and like let's find a path to change that, because this is not okay. Like people shouldn't be living in these kinds of conditions or this and that. And I feel like it's an important part for me, because it's still it's emotional. It's a very emotional way to paint, and I don't think that artists are painting their deepest feelings anymore. We're painting a lot on the good things. Like we want to portray everything's all right, but it's far from it. And I think that the more I push for that envelope, it's gonna either make my career flourish or it's gonna really shoot it down. But it doesn't matter to me anymore. I just want to make art that has a real meaning and a real value to the world. So as much as I want to do it for the kids and give them all the value in the world that I can and plant all those seeds, like I think it just needs to be planted in a different soil for a while. And hopefully that will bring about some change, at least provoke the right people to think and move forward with the thoughts that they had of, I want to do something for someone else. And now seeing this, it really connects to me because, you know, I know a kid that's going through that same thing or whatever the case may be. And hopefully that really lands on the right minds and real change can come of that, right? And I think that's just my path right now.
I have no doubt that once you start working on these projects, you're going to attract the right people who share a similar mindset. I mean, you and I have already come together in this convergence from the opposite side of the country. And here we are talking about similar things, sharing stories that matter to us. And, you know, you've already proven that you could do whatever you put your mind to. This is going to go great. I have no doubt about that. And I'm happy that you are doing this, because you're right, man. I think that not a lot of people are speaking out about some of the stuff that's going on, and a lot of youth don't have a lot of opportunities to speak for themselves because they don't have the words, they don't have the opportunity to do that. And another outlet is through art, right? Huge. Look at you, right? So yeah, man, I want to wish you luck, and I appreciate you coming on to the podcast and sharing your story. I feel like there's so much we can get into, like, further. Might have to come back someday.
Yep.
But I'm going to leave it there for now. Or actually,
Well, I was just going to say thanks to Jordan. You know,
Yeah.
it was very inspiring, and you kind of like shown us that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. And I think a lot of youth and listeners listening will really appreciate your story. So thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, big time, man. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow morning. All right, dude. Thank you.
Yeah, for real. Thanks.